I'll be your host today, Clay. This is my right-hand man, as always, Adam. We got Tony Tone over here. We got Koof Andy in the back with MVD, making sure that this is all possible for you guys today. Guys, it feels great to be back into the show. How about you?
I'm excited.
Dude.
You know, again, like we've been waiting so long.
Yes.
To have something juicy to talk about, and we got it.
Yes, Adam.
Oh, dude, I'm almost as excited that we're back here as I was on Friday.
Yes.
Because football is back.
I don't know if people heard, football's back.
Oh, it's back, baby.
It feels like a three yards in a cloud of dust. Isn't that right, Adam?
4 or 5. 4 or 5 yards in the cloud of dust. No.
We want to thank you guys for coming in, giving us some of your time here on Sunday. Just listening to three idiots talking into a microphone, but we have some electric guests today, guys. First up, we'll have Shane Combs from SVC Sports Zone and Talk, Creative Zone, now Talk. We'll have Braylon Robertson on to talk about his big game on opening
game.
night.
Legendary game.
Yes. And then we'll wrap it up with Matt Hoops coming on to talk about that nitty-gritty win over Vinton County.
Tough one.
Yes.
One. Close one and a tough one.
You know, so we were at the Paint Valley game, obviously, so we didn't get to have eyes on that. We were keeping updates on it as we go. I get to go back and watch that game, man, and what a game that was. What a game. I mean, so we'll talk about it a little bit more as the show goes on.
We got to save it.
Yeah, I was going to say, got to save that. But, man, if you haven't watched that game, you need to go back on Facebook, I think is what it was, and give that a watch.
I think it was BMD
yes.
County.
Yes, great watch. We'd like to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, Wagner's Roadhouse. If you're looking for some good wings, some good drinks, and some good vibes, go out to Wagner's Roadhouse. They have a great mural of Ohio State versus Notre Dame, if I might add, into there. But if you're looking for some good times, good vibes, definitely go out to Wagner's Roadhouse. We appreciate everything that they've done for this show. Also want to give a huge shout-out to our sponsor, Hammond Lawn Care. If you're looking not just for your grass cut, you're looking for your leaves cleaned up in the fall, you're looking for your snow removed in the winter, he's your guy to call.
Oh, they did a great job, too, just looking out your back window here.
Yes.
Just seeing that
Okay,
backyard
so I
you
found
got
out
is
that he lives on the
beautiful.
same road as me.
Yeah.
I walk out, and I was like, oh, this is the guy that makes everyone else jealous of his lawn. I'm like, oh, this is like, it literally looks like a ruler's over top of it.
It does,
Gorgeous.
it does. It leaves a great
so I'm
cut.
very jealous.
Yes. As Adam said, I'm living proof. I am part of the sponsorship because he cuts my grass. That's how good he does it. I trust him, and I'm very picky about my grass.
Oh, absolutely.
We also want to let you know, hit that comment section up. You know, might throw some interesting comments in there. We get it on the show. Give us some stuff to talk about. So definitely want to make sure you hit that comment section. We want to make sure we get our fans involved in every single show because this, again, is not possible without you guys. We had a crazy weekend. We had our first fantasy draft, guys, out at 50 West. I thought it was a good time, good turnout. I thought, my team going into week one, I felt great. And then Braylon Robertson was on Terrapin Station, who I played week one, and then I didn't feel so great.
Yeah, after this first week, it seems like maybe Andy might have got the best team out there.
Yeah.
and Fleely, not to
Sneaky.
sneaky.
Yes.
It was not expecting that at all.
Just to throw a little tidbit in there, Sean Smith, I think, will surprise some people. I thought he was going to be pretty good, but he had a big week one there.
I think we'll be surprised at how many people we did actually miss.
Yes.
Honestly, not because
I was going to say, I might not be surprised.
Yeah, there was just a lot of good football played, so I'm
Yes.
excited to get a lot more free agents.
Yes. And then we go into that. We have our first game day show. I thought that was really fun. We got to be live down on the field. Thank you again, Paint Valley, being a great host for us to have that first game day show.
Oh, amazing.
And it. Good time. We had Tony on there on the sideline cams. Tony, how was it getting to interact with Paint Valley's fans for the first time?
To be honest with you, my favorite, the young cheerleaders,
Yes.
okay? They had so much enthusiasm, roped me into a cartwheel contest, and I loved every second of it.
Yes.
Right when they tell me to do a cartwheel, they say, hey, hold on, round off. I said, say less. Let's do this. And I'll tell you, dude, that was some of the most fun that was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. Like, I tell you what. So I really want to shout them. And then, of course, the concession stand. I'm walking by them. I told Andy when we walked up, we got to get these people. But they were busy. I didn't want to interrupt or anything like that. I'm walking by. She gives us a shout out. And you know what? I was like,
Shout out.
made in heaven.
Shout out for shout out.
I know. We're
How about-
over there talking, picking the games. I'm looking on the screen over there. He's doing a handstand. This girl's doing like triple backflips. I'm like, what is going on, Tony?
Dude, she iced me. I did like a 5-second handstand. All these kids were like, how did he do that? She comes up like, da-da-da.
Tony's like, this was a
I
setup.
am no longer cool. Like,
How about that sign, though, man?
and honestly speaking, there was a couple signs out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But we saw one roll up early. It was perfect. He was an absolute treat. His dad was too. The whole family was great. It was really respectful. I really appreciate what he was doing, but wanted to support his brother. Shouted out that he wants to play some Paint Valley
he
football.
looked like he was about to ready to line up on the defense.
He
It's called some
said
plays for him.
fullback.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he really, again, he said he likes to hit people, so a
Yeah, that's-
linebacker, fullbacker thing, like I'm seeing that in Zane Brownfield
Peyton
out in
Hillis.
Piketon.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
leads
yeah.
me to an interesting question for our commissioner.
Okay.
Andy took Zane Brownfield as a fullback. Piketon defense got a nice scoop and score by
And it
Zane
was
Brownfield, I believe.
No, that's what I said. Andy left him on. So the
I
way
know he
was
doesn't
thinking,
get the points,
maybe
but
not get
like,
the
in
yards, but
terms
he's
of
getting
that.
the 6 points because he did score a touchdown. So
Yeah.
he had.
That's
yeah.
my thing. If you have this guy, he should get the six.
And honestly,
Perfect.
we're thinking where a lot of these guys play on both sides of the field. I'm thinking about making it to where maybe tackles. If you get like 10, 12 tackles, well, that's going to be a little bit of the fantasy points on for you. Because you deserve a shout out for that. You deserve a
I
little
like
bit of
that.
shine. And
Oh,
at the end
for
of the
sure.
day,
I like
that's
that.
what this is all about.
One
be
thing
honest
we've
with
been
you,
working on
I
is
hope-
hits of the week, too.
I hope every week is 5,000 to 5,000. Like,
Yeah.
let's just find a way to
Well,
get
I've
these
been trying to
kids
make it
points
pretty
and
high
score.
scoring.
say,
Yeah,
after-
absolutely.
After week one, man, that is not a stretch. I mean, we had a bunch of people going off in week one. Honestly, before we get into that, guys, I wanted to give a huge shout out to a local legend here, Ben Hartsock. He actually got put in the Mount Rushmore of tight ends by 11 Warriors over the weekend, putting him at the number 4 tight end in Ohio State history.
That's saying something.
For
I mean,
real.
that's saying something.
Yes.
I mean, I may not be a huge OSU fan, but I mean, they've been around forever. They're a legendary franchise, and
It's
they're
pure
just
history.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
all it
just
is.
years
Yeah.
alone. If you're in the top 5 of anything,
Anything.
that's
Yeah.
something that's been around that long.
We were talking about when you think of like just traditional, it's there's teams like Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, teams that have just been there forever.
Yeah.
Since the dawn of time almost. you know?
And you get put in the top 4 of that. That's saying something about you. And the crazy thing was, tight end, everybody looks at as a threat offensive lineman, but you're going to make a lot of passes, stuff like that. Ben Hartsock himself will tell you he prided himself on being a blocking tight end.
No, 100% as a tight end myself. That was the best part was blocking.
Yeah.
It's like I'm out here out blocking all these linemen,
Yeah.
And I'm not even. This isn't even my first thing,
And-
I'm supposed to be catching passes too.
And the Chillicothe effect of just, I'll just say the Ross County effect of pure winners. goes to Ohio State 1 year, wins the national title against the U of all schools, ends that dynasty run. So he had a great career there.
Not
Goes
to mention
on.
Chillicothe tight ends. Garen Varus was tight end for Chillicothe. That's what he originally went to Stanford for.
Am I hearing tight end U?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it would be tight end high school.
Yeah. Yes. But that, again, we just want to give a huge shout out to Ben Hartsock. That is a huge accomplishment. Goes on to get drafted by the Colts. Plays with Peyton Manning for a little bit. Has a great career with them, the Jets, the Panthers. I think the Falcons as well. Everywhere he went, people had great things to say about him. And
so you're telling me he played for the Colts with Peyton Manning, who was also a Denver Bronco, so another legendary Denver Bronco, because I recall somebody playing with John Elway back at Stanford.
Oh, that is connecting the dots.
Yeah, connecting them.
Garen Barry. But yeah, again, we want to give a huge shout out to Ben Hartsock. Again, glad that we can say that you're from our community. Still doing big things out there as well. I know he has a radio show on Sirius XM, and just doing some big things down there. So good.
Absolutely.
Way to go, Ben. Way to go. Making us proud. All right, boys, let's jump into these games on Friday. How about it? So we'll start off with Westfall 37 over Madison Plains with 12. Joey Wright, we're talking about people that went off this week. Joey Wright goes out for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, whoever picked him up off the wires is just the smartest guy in this
yeah. But yeah, Westfall takes care of Madison Plains handily. Bryce Wickline, he goes out there. He's dominating. We were definitely expecting Bryce to destroy this year through the passing game, but it looks like he tore him up in the run game as well.
I will say I was wrong because I just watched the pregame show we did, and I said I expect him to pass a lot. I think they only had like 41 yards in the air, but it ended up with I think Bryce had like
150 or something like that.
I thought it was like 123.
Yeah, somewhere around
he
there.
Teased it.
Yeah.
Come on. He teased it.
He's like, I'm going to air it out.
I don't
Psych.
Yeah.
maybe he said that we talked about RPO and different things like that.
Yeah.
Dude, he teased it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll give a big shout out to Westfall there, taking care of business. And then Zane Trace, they go, I'm pretty sure, on the road to Logan Elm. They fall 39-23. I think from just kind of looking around from – all right, going live there. Holy crap. Got a little choked up from how great football is.
It's electric. It's in the air.
Celine Dion in the background got him.
But, yeah, they go over to Logan Elm. They fall 39-23. It looks like that game was kind of close. Looked like Zane Chase was driving. It kind of looked like they didn't do a whole lot of things wrong. It just looks like Logan Elm did a few more things right, guys. It didn't look like it was too overwhelming.
I think St. Trace was up early in that game at halftime. I think they were leading at the half.
Yeah. I know Carter Langley, he had a big game there. And Silas Stewart, he was taking care of some damage. Aiden Dunn, big shout out to him. I know he had a good game there. I still expect some big things out of Zane Trace going forward this year, guys.
Absolutely.
Logan Elm, I think that's kind of their, Unioto to Vinton County, McLean to Adena kind of thing. They normally open up with him, I'm pretty sure. If not for –
Hey, they're right there on – it's like the battle of 56.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take 56 – from Zane Trace through Vinton County, past Vinton County into Hocking Hills, right to Logan.
Yeah, and Logan Elm is historically a pretty good football team.
Absolutely,
so,
they are.
Good competing game. I think they can ride that momentum into week 2 there. McLean, they jump over Adena 41-23. Tony, you said you had something about the McLean game there, didn't you?
All right, look. I was just reaching out. I've had a lot of interesting talks with people this week, and I didn't hear a lot of people high on McLean, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I don't know if I'm ever going to let that influence my pick again. Okay? Because I had somebody reach out, and, we've got a lot of great sources out there, but honestly speaking, this was second to none. I really want to give a shout-out to this kid because his response was well-written and really well said, and I'm just going to read it right on air because it's a perfect way to describe that game. But he says here, I think the game went pretty good last night for a season opener. Andrew Potts did great running through defenders with 4 TDs. Caden Penwell also fought hard with his receiving TD, not to mention some critical blocks and tackles by linebacker Cade Sponkel. Sorry if I said it wrong. Rushing game was pretty prevalent as usual. Hopefully we'll see a greater number of passing plays this season with Drake Stapleton having more time to refine his skills. And as long as he stays healthy, we should see some more improvement. Wide receiver and safety Max Islandberry, sorry if I butchered it, should also be cleared to play after his ACL tear last year, which I thought was a juicy nugget that I was really glad
glad that he reached out to us and let us know that he was not going to be playing week 1, so I could send him. I thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your recovery.
Him and Blake
just kill him week 2.
Yes.
He finishes it up with all of our non-conference games should be blank wins. You know, I don't want to give bulletin board material. Easy. Although our conference games should be more difficult, I think we should pull through at least 2 or 3 of them, and he thinks they'll see them in the playoffs. Shout out to Hunter. Yeah. Great analysis, man. I'm telling you what, man.
That game, it was 41-23, but I'm pretty sure Adina scored a lot late. Mm-hmm. So not to take anything away from Adina, I just think that maybe it was a little not as close as what it appeared. What it appeared. Through 3, I think it was pretty one-sided.
Yeah, and Andrew Potts and Penwell out there, they went absolutely off in the run game. I was expecting big things out of Max.
Potts is another one. You know, him and Braylon both scoring 4, and then you had Wright scoring 4 touchdowns. How many running backs out there are just going to score 4 tutties opening week?
All of them.
Yeah, I know. I'm just glad I had one of them.
Yeah, but I thought that was a good game on McLean. I thought that was a good way to assert their dominance there. I'm not 100% sure where they're going next week, but I know week 3 they have Paint Valley. That should be a huge game. That's a renewed rivalry. They haven't played each other in a very, very long time. I'm excited to see that game and how it ends up.
I know when you found out about it, you were like, I wish we would have got played.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I wish we had that crosstown rivalry when I was in high school, man. It's just one of those things. You know, we played a lot of schools. We played Williamsburg every single year. That second game of the year was always kind of flipped, and the third game of the year was always flipped. And not to take away from that, I just kind of wish we played a little bit more local schools like McLean, like.
Honestly, I wish Vinton County would play a little bit like, you know, Paint Valley. I mean,
yeah.
Growing, we'd always play like Piketon, Uniola, and stuff like that, but we never really play Paint Valley after we get out of like 8th grade. Or
and we never
like
played
that.
anybody like Hillsborough, who's like right there. Like I get the
Huntington and Southeastern's another one. Like we got to drive past Southeastern to go to Piketon.
Yeah, you know? And I know the conference might be one thing, you know what I mean? People are like, or division, my apologies, that like, hey, they're in a higher division than you, so why would you want to play each other? It's like, yeah, I know you got to go for the playoffs and everything like that, but eventually sometimes you got to look at it and be like, hey, you know, this is high school football, you know what I mean? Crosstown rivalries to these kids are going to be a lot more than make it to the second round. And normally when you make it to the second round, like, you're not even playing high school football anymore. It is straight college football at that point, you know what I mean? I remember my senior year, we beat, I think it was Tuscarora Catholic or something like that. The next game was against Shadyside, and I'm a lineman, right? Shaking their linemen's hands. I was like, you are grown men. Like, you look like you're 28. You know what I mean? It's like, in basketball, any team can get hot at the right time, you know what I mean, to make a tournament run. In football, you're eventually just going to run into a team that's literally bigger, literally faster, and literally stronger than you. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it just doesn't matter if you're not making any mistakes because you just, unfortunately, sometimes you just can't compete with some of those
exactly. It's not taken away from anybody here. That's not what we're trying to say. We're saying all kinds of football. You see it in college. You know, you see it in the NFL. You know what I mean? You sometimes just run into a team that's just better. You know, and then that's okay. You know what I mean? It lets you know, okay, that team's better. This is what I need to do to get to that point. You know what I mean?
It reminds me a lot of like when LeBron James, when he was in high school, came down and played a shoot-around at Wellston. Everybody came and watched. It was like, oh, we all thought we were like pretty good at basketball around here, and we just realized that like we are not quite that. You know?
So I kind of had a realization. You know, when I was a kid, I was pretty much this height in like 5th grade. You know what I mean? So in 5th grade basketball, it was a little bit easier. I mean, I thought I was like legit. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was like the bee's knees. I go to Union, there's one open gym. I'm like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. You know what I mean? I got put around some good players, and then you know, I went to some AAU teams, and like you get around good players, you're like, okay, like, you know, I can play basketball, but these guys can play some basketball.
I learned how to play basketball. These guys were born to play basketball. Like, they are going to do some great things.
Hitting up a few more scores here. East Clinton beats Huntington 12-0. Northwest, they beat Southeastern 38-8. Piketon, they win a barn burner 28-22 over Goshen. and I think somebody that could really give us a lot more insight on this is some of the founder of SVC Sports Zone and now Sports Talk, 100-win baseball coach out at Payne Valley, a couple of district titles, couple of Sweet 16 appearances, the legendary Shane Combs.
I love the number 100.
Coach, how's it going, man?
Great. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. Coach, I kind of want to get your thoughts here. We were talking about that Piketon, and is it, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, is it Goshen? Is that how you say that in school?
That's the way I believe it, yeah.
Yeah. 28-22, we were kind of keeping up with it as we were calling the Payne Valley game. Looked kind of like a barn burner. What were your thoughts on that game, Coach?
Well, I think it's a great win for Coach Gallion and his kids in week one because if I understand it correctly, they were down multiple scores in the first half.
Yeah.
Still down at halftime. They come back. You look throughout the game, they get a score on the defensive side. I was also impressed just looking at some of the numbers after the game, how many different names showing up in the box score, how they're spreading the ball around.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty dynamic group. I understand they have a pretty big roster, mixing some old and young. So anytime you can get tested in week one like that and come out on the positive side of the scoreboard, I would think that's going to play pretty well for you moving forward.
Oh yeah, especially going into week two, they got Oak Hill, and from my understanding, that's a pretty big non-conference rivalry for them. So. Should be good for them to squeak out that one and to go on to the next. Another game I wanted to talk to you about, Coach, was Westfall against Madison Plains. We were expecting here Bryce Wickline to kind of blow it up through the air. I mean, it looks like they went complete opposite. They destroyed it on the run game with Joey Wright, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns. Bryce Wickline rushed for over 100 yards with a rushing touchdown, I believe. Can you talk to us about that game a little bit, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, those two athletes you mentioned there, I had a chance to call one of their games about halfway through last year, and you could see it coming. You could see the athleticism, and you could see the growth. And I think what you guys are projecting in the preseason will still be in play. I think it's just one of those matchups sometimes when it's not broke at the time. You know, you don't have to reinvent it, right? You just go ahead and with what's working and let things roll there in week one. So I do think it's an offense that can score it in a variety of ways. I think the big question there has been, can their defense take a step from a year ago? And they'll certainly get more tested here in the weeks 2 and 3 and in the SVC play. But, yeah, I don't think anyone's doubting. I heard you guys talking a little fantasy and so forth. I don't think anyone's doubting the ability of Westfall to run it and throw it and put up some points throughout the year.
I think that would be shocking or I guess helping, not shocking is what I should say, going into the league play because I would say, you know, we're probably not the only people that thought they were going to air it out. So now people going up against Westfall are like, hey, they've proven that they can do it on the ground. So now they got to compare for 2 of them there.
Did they run any RPO? Like, I didn't get to watch any of it, but I'd be interested just because, again, we had him on and he spoke a little bit about it. Have you got to see any of it? Have you?
Well, and like I said, in the past, I have seen a little bit more balance, but from what I understand in the matchup, there's been quite a growth up front for Westfall, and you're talking about a group that, I think anytime football more than any sport, I know coaching, we talk about it all the time, but in football more than any other sport, I think you guys would agree playing, there's a big difference on a football Friday night when you start talking 17, 18-year-olds compared to 14, 15-year-olds. So I think a lot of that's that year's growth, get a little bit more physicality. Again, I think there's plenty of mixture. You got a dual threat quarterback. The running back you're talking about is really good, and some threats on the outside. So yeah, I think you're going to see a little bit more balance moving forward. But yeah, don't be surprised if those two running the football is the foundation of where it starts.
Coach, going from running the football, that Union to Vinton County game. Brown from Vinton County, that kid can run. I mean, he was putting up some good numbers from them. Yoda, I was impressed with them. They had some adversity there. They had some plays that went their way. They had some things that didn't go the way. It didn't seem like they hung their head. Come out with a great 21-20 victory. I thought it was great to see. They had a bend don't break. Yeah, they gave up the touchdown to go 21-20, but then they make up for it immediately with that block field goal that literally wins them the game. I just love to get your thoughts on that game, Coach.
By far the most bizarre game of week one.
I would agree with that.
We knew it was going to be a good one going in. If I'm just being completely honest, I think over the course of the night, Vinton County outplayed them.
Yeah.
It was my observation, just my eye test. They really did. But I think, what happens is Uniota hits a couple home runs in the passing game there. One with a little screen, the other one over the top to cut right.
Right before that cut right, there was a dropped interception, and Uniota just fell right into his hands, and completion. The next one he goes right over the middle to cut right for a touchdown. It was stuff like that. Vinton County was shooting himself in the foot, but I was kind of surprised that they were able to keep it so close, 20-21, having a chance to tie it there at the end.
Great call. The play you're talking about, again, kind of fits into the bizarre word I'm using.
Absolutely.
Vinton County just had more things I felt like throughout the night happen. But to Uniota's credit, every time they had to capitalize, they were able to capitalize in terms of putting points on the board.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about over the last couple of years the advantage of Uniota in the kicking game. And that obviously also is a snap and a hold and a lot of clean things and a high school extra point.
Yes.
I think the Vinton County team. I've watched them in the preseason, and looking back over the last 5 to 10 years, I thought it was one of the bigger, more physical Vinton County teams I've seen, and I think they're going to be really, really good. I think on this opening night, they just made a couple costly mistakes.
Yes.
And a team capitalized and ended up 1 point better.
Yeah, so Uniota, they were in the opposite boat to where they have a veteran like Newton out there at quarterback who's making sure he's not making mistakes and stuff like that. And when like that dropped interception, he made sure that he had to capitalize on the missed opportunity for Vinton County. He was like, I can't let him have another opportunity like that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get a score here.
And another thing to comment on, you catch up with the bizarre game. Vinton County goes to just do a simple handoff on, I think it was like a jet sweep. And normally, if you fumble, it might fall 5 yards. Maybe this goes 20 yards back to the one, and Uniota recovers it. But it looked like they rolled in for a touchdown, but they punched in the next play. Again, the bizarreness the fumble normally happens 5 yards. It goes 20 yards. It looked like somebody kicked it. You know what I mean?
It was one of those bounces off a foot, just goes flying. But I think that was to Matt Hembry, and it looked like he was about to take it at least 10 yards, 10, 20, from what people were saying, and just from seeing how.
And guys, real quick on that, you might be able to help me more from the Vinton County side because I focus so much on the SVC side.
Right.
To me, Vinton County strikes me as a team that as the clock gets into the middle of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, you certainly wouldn't want to be behind.
Yeah,
they can really run it at you, physical 4, 5, 6 run.
Yeah.
Where Uniota has a little bit more of the ability to hit the home run, and I thought on the final couple drives, that was really starting to test Vinton County a little bit in terms of anytime in high school, or really all the way to the NFL, you make a team go 9, 10, 11, 12 plays, the chances of the false start, the chances of the hold, the chances of the fumble, or the ball handling mistake. So that's something that jumped out at me in the second half. But again, that's a big time win for Uniota, being down their top wide receiver early in the year and so forth. Here, that was a good win.
Yeah, and I kind of want to jump on what you said there with going late in the clock. Vinton County early in the game hits a huge pass play to.
It was to Lane Holborn where he catches it into the end zone. And
after that, though, Uniota kind of set up for that long play. It almost seemed like. Vinton County showed that. I'm not a football coach. I don't want to critique, but just opinion-wise, it looks like they might have shown that a little too early because in the end of the game when they're going for it, Uniota was ready for that. You know what I mean? It went to the ground and pound game. They were setting up great drives. They'd go long, good drives. But again, what you said, Coach, those drives were taking 3, 4, 5 minutes, and when you only have 2 minutes. And Uniota kind of knows what you're going to do for the deep threat. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's kind of hard to come back from being down like that. Coach, I know we kind of harped on those games right there. Is there any other games that kind of stood out to you SVC-wise this week?
Well, I think for the league's perspective, what was it, 4-4? I think that's pretty standard. You know, the one thing I've always talked about in the first 3 weeks, and you guys were just touching on it here when you were talking about the playing days and some of the rivalry games and so forth. I always tell people not to overreact too much from week 1, week 2. You know, a lot of times in these first 3 weeks, scheduling plays a big factor. You know, it really does. I mean, sometimes you go out and you tell, and that could mean 0-1. It's just like the Zane Trace loss. You know, they've always tested themselves there in week 1. I wouldn't overreact to that too much.
Right.
But obviously, at the end of the day, we'd all rather be 1-0 than 0-1. And you know, the 4 teams that did that certainly played well enough to win. And I know a couple of them are really going to get tested here in week 2. But certainly some impressive performances across the board. Seeing some offenses do some nice things in the run game, and then even with some passing game mixed in there as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna say, to touch on like a loss like Zane Trace had, having such a good season last year. You know, it could be one of those losses that they have at the beginning of the season that gets a chip on their shoulder, and it's able to propel them to maybe going 9-1 regular season, or you know, making a push to the playoffs. You know, minimal loss just because you know they were able to get that loss out early and not have that, you know, championship hangover that we kind of touched on in pregame on Friday. But you know, it could be a good loss. You know, there's kind of an oxymoron because there's no such thing as a good loss, but it could be a good learning loss and kind of help them out throughout the rest of the season.
And kind of like with Pay Valley too, they nothing against Blanchester. They open up against Blanchester. They have a good heavy win. Talking about big performances, Braylon Robertson, he goes for 154 touchdowns. I was surprised that was only 150, to be completely honest with you. But then they jump to West Jeff next week, which, again, nothing against Blanchester, but it's just obvious that West Jeff is a known powerhouse around here. So, you know, you get that week 1 win and you feel good about it, but you have a huge non-conference test week 2 to be like, okay, what did we actually do right week 1 that was right, or what we think that we did right that, you know, playing a lesser team and went right, but playing a better team, you got to really fine-tune everything and go on to conference play there. Coach, I wanted to transition. Obviously, great week of football. You know, I think we were all just excited football's back. You know, we had our first game day show. Pay Valley gave us a great game. We were super, super excited about it. I wanted to pivot a little bit because that was not the only sport that started this week. Looks like we had some soccer starting up. Zane Trace, they had a good win over Logan Elm on the pitch.
A little revenge for the football team there.
Yeah, they win 3-0. Can you tell us a little bit about the soccer week this week, Coach?
Well, I think the soccer situation is just kind of going to be a slow start type thing. You know, you have there's top programs at the top of your league. You know, Uniota's always been so good, Zane Trace, over the years. And different teams are trying, you know, different things in terms of numbers. And I've heard different people still, they're real close, still trying to add some kids, trying to get consistency in their numbers and keep their program going. So, you know, the SVC is trying as a league sport. I think what happens there is you have some teams at the top that are a little bit more established over 10, 15, 20 years of soccer. Just like you're talking about in football, they may be a little bit more anxious to spread the schedule out and play some of the better programs throughout the entire area, where other programs are still trying to just get established. So playing the league schedule is nice just to have it as a league sport, but they're probably in a different stage of development, if that makes sense, where they're looking for other smaller schools and so forth. So I think as it goes through, it's a nice growth, but when you look at an SVC size school, you have a lot of cross country runners, you have a lot of golfers. I talked to the Westfall golf programs, had some kids coming and they're young and they're going to start to challenge Uniota. But what happens is there's only so much boys enrollment to go around. You get a soccer program, you get a golf program, you know, then your football program and so forth. And it can get a little tricky, but no, I thought on the soccer side with some of the Uniota Wheelersburg matchups over the week, those are always great indications on what we might see again later in the season in the postseason.
Yeah, something that I want to kind of touch on, because you had said, you know, football and soccer kind of there, like something that goes hand in hand is usually those schools that have an established soccer program tend to be able to kick the football a little bit better when it comes to field goals, like, you know, like Zane Trace, Uniota,
Chillicothe, for sure.
Chillicothe, Jackson's another one. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure I seen like a 35 plus 40 yarder there against Logan this past week. Week one. It was anytime you see like Vinton County, we've always struggled kicking. I said that's something that my friend Andy, who's kind of on the coaching staff, was telling me. But we've never had a soccer program. If kids want to play soccer, they got to go to Athens or like Jackson.
The kicker when I was in high school was our left tackle Jacob Ott.
Up with the linebackers coach for Paint Valley, I was talking to him. They had missed an extra point, and I was like, don't you have some kid that's good at soccer? And he was like, we don't have a soccer program.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's completely new to me. Being from Philadelphia, we're just is spread around. But being from a smaller school, I also understand. Like we played multiple sports because it was a military boarding school, so it was 45 kids. You played a little bit of everything, but and sometimes you didn't field a whole team, and maybe next year you did.
And that's the thing too. What Coach kind of said, where football is football is religion at Paint Valley. To where if they try to have a soccer team, you probably run into the thing of, people are going out for football. They're probably not going to go out for soccer. With girls, they might go out for volleyball, cheerleading, all that other stuff. You know what I mean? Coach Combs can kind of touch on it. We have a bunch of cheerleaders that will cheer and then go play volleyball, cheer and then go play basketball. You know what I mean? And they're doing all these other things, and kids like that at a school like that is kind of one of the big reasons you can have sports like that, just because, they're good at two things. In Paint Valley, I think, I'm a little biased because I went there. I think they're a school that's really, really good about letting a kid do two sports because he's good at two sports. I know you kind of ran into that, Coach, with Cole Miller. Didn't he play baseball his first few years while he's doing track?
Cole's a great example of what you're talking about. His sophomore year, he was our center fielder on our district championship team there that went to the regional and played a really good Lucasville Valley team. And then, obviously, what he went on to do in track and other sports and so forth. So that's a great example of what you're talking about. I know on our good girls basketball teams, we had young ladies who would cheer and so forth. I think a lot of times you just have to, at the small school, be willing to do that. But the example you're using on the kicking is just spot on. Again, I know there's a lot that goes into the snap and the hold and the blocking, as I said earlier, but Uniota Vinton County game is a great example. Backyard football, it's a good old fashioned 3-3.
Yeah.
But in terms of the extra point, it's the 21-20. But yeah, that's an incredible weapon for a school like Uniota, where even in a late game situation, you're driving down, 1 or 2, the ability to kick the field goal just isn't an option for a lot of high school football teams.
And I was listening to the broadcast when I rewatched it, and every single time Uniota got to the 40, the broadcasters were like, well, they are in field goal range. You know what I mean? Where at Paint Valley, it's like, we're either punting it or we're going for it on 4th and 5.
Usually your punter is going to be your quarterback or something like. And then we saw at Paint Valley and Vinton County both had running backs like Lane Hayborn. I'm pretty sure he scored 2 touchdowns and went out there and kicked field goals as well.
Yeah.
So at one point in time, he had 14 of Vinton County's 14 points.
Yeah. Coach, we want to we want to spread love to every single sport here. We know golf got started up. Can you give us some names? And I know you said Westfall. They look like they're about to start competing for with Uniota, because I think Uniota's been kind of having golf as a stranglehold, kind of like they did with cross country there for a while.
Well, they have more times than not over history. Again, on the Westfall, we're all going to kind of learn some of these names together as we go. But what's unique about Westfall is I've been told for about 5 to 10 years now, with a lot of young kids at Westfall through my connection with Crown Hill and Kevin Schultz, who obviously had Maddie that's going on to play college and so forth there. He was talking to me a lot about Westfall's got a lot of young talent coming, a lot of things coming, and you notice here early in the year they've started to make some noise. So Uniota has some different kids back that will recognize some of those names a little bit more. But pay close attention to when some of these golf scores start getting posted to the Westfall side, and let's see where they're at. And when we revisit, I think that's going to be an interesting storyline. They're on the golf side for sure.
Oh, I'm kind of excited to see us. I love seeing young talent coming up because it's going to be here for years to come. You know what I mean? Going over to the cross country side, Coach, who are some runners maybe on the boys or the girls side that we should definitely take a closer look at this year?
Well, again, you always come right to the top there with Uniota when you get to the cross country, and Coach Paxson moving on there to Rio.
Yes.
That's an interesting dynamic as they as they switch over and go here. I know they kind of get going here in the upcoming Saturday. You should start to see more and more things posted, and we'll get more and more names for you. But as you look back, I mean, Uniote on the team side of it's going. But you know what's interesting? What's interesting in the divisions, in the sports that have the three divisions, your golf, your cross country, the league tracks the same way here. The league is, sometimes difficult for the middle to bottom teams to compete in. But then as we get into the postseason, those top teams are going D2 and those bottom schools are going into D3. So it's really bizarre. There's times you'll see a young lady or a guy finish, maybe outside the top 10 in the league, and all of a sudden a couple weeks later you'll see him in the regional, and you're like, where'd that come from? But if you pay attention to the times, it's just a completely different type of race. So you'll see some really good individual runners throughout some of these other schools as the times start to post and the names start to post. But from everything I've been told, the depth there of Uniote is still going to be very, very difficult to handle.
It has been for a long time. Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your Sunday here and talking with us, helping us get more educated, not only on football, but just the SVC as a whole. We appreciate all the hard work you do. I know you've been doing it for a really long time. I remember in school, your website was the place to go to find the stats. You know what I mean? It's still what we use a lot around here.
It still is.
Yeah. But I just want to thank you for all the work that you've put in over time. And everybody, make sure you go expanding the zone, if I'm saying that correctly, for your podcast. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah, we do our YouTube channel where we try to get some names and some different things out there. My brother on the side, we picked up expanding the zone here a couple of years ago. We're 50 some shows in over the last couple of years. It's a little bit more of a leadership podcast where we talk a lot of different things. But then once high school sports jump in, we'll still do that. But like I said, just the passion of different things. People know outside of the sports I coach, one of the favorite things I like to do is follow SVC volleyball. That's going to be starting here. You got a big Uniote Adena matchup that's in the first week of play, I think on the 31st of August, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely got to go check out that game. That good.
That'll be big. So again, the football schedule's got everything out of whack a little bit. We're starting a little bit earlier than normal. Yeah. So a lot of the things we're talking about soccer, we're talking about volleyball, they're coming here just maybe a week later than we're used to. So by the time we revisit here in the week or two, you're gonna have a lot of information to start throwing out on those sports as well.
I am so glad you said that, because I was like, listen, I could have sworn that volleyball always started before football.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thrown all out of whack when I was like, wait, volleyball has not started yet? Like
some volleyball teams started yesterday. Most of them will start non-league this week.
Okay.
And then SVC does their Tuesday, Thursday format. That doesn't start till the 29th and 31st, which would be next Tuesday, Thursday. And that Adena Uniote match, I wish I would have ended up writing that down. I believe it's the second game, which would be the Thursday, the 31st. And I think that first round game is in Frankfurt out of Adena. Wow. But those two teams are going to be really, really good.
Because of Coach Combs is why I'm so excited to dive into volleyball.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is I'm excited to get the season started, so that way I can get a little bit more conversation, a little bit more insight on this from you, so that way I can actually learn a little bit what's going on and know what to look for and kind of know because volleyball is a real exciting sport. I just don't know what it is, because there was never like a male volleyball team or anything like that, or anybody to teach me. Yeah. So I was just kind of it's exciting, but I just don't know what's happening.
I'm right there with you. I can't wait. Coach, again, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday. Again, everybody, make sure you go check out his podcast. I mean, rattling off the dates like that, that he is committed. Great conversations on there. Coach, thank you again for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Combs.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Coach.
If it's one thing I know about the Combs, they love their sport.
Yes, and you can tell too. They care. You can tell too, just watching their shows, how much not just how much time they've invested into it, but how much passion they have.
Yeah,
for
you can actually see that they just care so much about giving back to the community that they came from, and just the sports in general. Just being complete. When you think of love of the game,
you think of the Combs.
Yeah, you got to think of them.
Alrighty, guys. We're gonna go through some other scores. We're gonna hit the other schools that we cover for our fantasy league. Chillicothe, they have a close loss against St. Charles, 21-18. Huge breakout performance from Sean Smith there. He goes for a few touchdowns, quite a few yards. I mean, he really blew up there. Chillicothe, they're kind of battling back there at the end, just fall a little bit short, but that St. Charles team is no joke. I mean, they really are a good team up there. And then Washington Courthouse, they fought to London 62-14. London's a good team. They were to the second round of the playoffs last year. I think they actually were the ones that ended Chillicothe's season. So like we said earlier, sometimes you just run into a bigger, better team. There's nothing. It's not anything against Washington Courthouse. I think they're going to have a great year this year. I think they have some a formula for some good success over there. Sometimes you just run into.
My favorite thing about that is those always switch up too. So there was a time when I was in high school that Bloom Carroll was kind of like one of those schools where you're just like, man, they're kind of right outside of Columbus school, like up in the up in the north, middle of Ohio, where them just the boys are just a little bit bigger, so it's kind of like, these are grown men out here. So, and then it switches to where like now, they're maybe not quite what they were,
right?
And it just kind of it's like a cycle.
Jackson, they blanked Logan 22-0. Great game footage if you want to check that out on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And Miami Trace, they beat Waverly 27-26. Waverly is actually down by a couple of scores. They come back there to make it 27-20. Then they hit on a 50-yard bomb Hail Mary to come back, go for two, end up not getting the 2-point conversion. They actually set up the Hail Mary with a huge hook and ladder as well, so a few trick plays out of it.
The old hook and ladder left from Varsity Blues. But yeah, so shout out to Miami Trace for making everybody on the panel on the pregame show wrong at least one time. They said, you all three are picking Waverly. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what, Clay? They're not winning by touchdown. We're winning by one.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
But yeah, that was a very, very entertaining game to watch. And there was somebody that was at Waverly, but he decided to make the transition over the hills over to Paint Valley. He's a stud, pretty much a wrecking ball at running back. He went for
tree trunks for legs.
Let me say 150 touchdowns, and not one, not two, not three, but 4 touchdowns. Opening week 1, the one, the only, Braylon Robertson.
You said 150 touchdowns there. Huh? You said 150 touchdowns instead of yards.
Braylon, what's going on, my man?
Oh, nothing. Just covering.
Your legs got to be hurting from just absolutely running over people all Friday night.
Oh, yeah, a few bumps and bruises, but I'm good.
Hey, man, so I wanted to ask you, obviously you guys come out running the football just down Blanchester's throats. Is that kind of what your guys' game plan was, or is it just the first quarter, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Our plan was get the running game going, make them defend it, and as soon as they put more people in the box, we go to Carson Free and all other receivers to get the job done with us.
Yeah, it looks like that job got done pretty well. You go off for like we said, 150 yards, 4 touchdowns. I wanted to ask. We were watching the game. It took minimum 2 people to bring you down. Most of the time it was 3, 4 defenders. You're carrying them on the back. They're hitting you. You're going another 5, at least 5 yards. Can you talk about what makes you so hard to tackle?
I mean, my mindset is not go down, just get in the end zone any way I can.
Heck yeah, man. It seems too like your legs just don't stop.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Is just you just always keep them legs chopping. I was telling him, I was like, it's not so much that he's running so fast. It's just he is running hard. He is running through people.
Is it drills? Is it just natural instinct? What makes it to where your legs just don't stop? It's like the Energizer Bunny.
Coach Burke has helped me out a lot with figuring out, because when I moved to Paint Valley, I wasn't a running back at Waverly. I made the transition to running back, and he's helped me through it all. He's got me ready for games. He's helped me overall.
Yeah, he's and that's a good person to listen to, man. That is a Paint Valley legend there, boys.
So let me get this straight. This was your first game at running back, and you just said, let me get 150 and 4 tuds.
My first game was last year. when I moved. That was my first time playing.
So how was the transition then from you go from mainly linebacker over at Waverly to you come over to Paint Valley and they're like, hey, we're going to put the ball in your hands?
I was very happy with it. It was very weird to get transitioned to playing both sides of the ball and just getting used to that conditioning part of getting myself ready for the game.
Heck yeah, man. Now, Corey Dye, I know he's good buddies with your dad. What's it like playing under him?
Oh, it's awesome. I love Coach Dye. I mean, he helps you out with everything. He's just an overall great guy.
Heck yeah, man. We're glad to hear that. As you know, Shu, he's close to me. I think it's just important to always have a coach like that for you. You know what I mean? That you can go to. Going over the game plan a little bit here, it looks like you had a good night. It looks like, oh man, his name just. What was the title?
Talking about Reed?
Yes, thank you.
Is it Lanham?
Is that Reed?
Oh yeah, Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reed Lanham. Yep.
Lanham. I was saying it right. Yes, yes.
He kind of goes off. It looks like your guys' defense there got off to a rocky start, and then your offense was keeping it going, and then it kind of looks like it did a flip. It looked like your defense was holding up, so your offense could kind of get going there a little bit. What's it like? Because I know most of you guys are playing offense and defense, if I'm correct. What's it like kind of flipping that switch whenever you just had a long drive on offense that maybe not scoring a touchdown. Now you got to turn around and play the other side of the ball.
I mean, it's just got to get your mind right. You're on offense. It's time to score. Defense is hit people as hard as you can. Don't let them go nowhere.
I love that, man. You're hitting people.
You look like the type of running back that likes defense just a little bit more than offense.
Yeah, I sure do.
Dude, this is the guy. I had the pleasure of sitting on the bench and watching him play some basketball last year, and his defense was locked down. Don't get me wrong, but the mind games he was playing with these guys was bar none.
I bet he could. I bet he could set a screen too, huh?
Oh, dude, he's sending you into the stands on that screen. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's one of those screens that if your teammates don't call it out, you're just walking off the court. You're like, I'm done with you guys. You guys aren't my friends.
I kind of want to talk to you. Waverly, they're a little bit of a bigger school. A bigger division, bigger enrollment. You go to the smaller school at Paint Valley. Was it kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say a culture shock, but you kind of had to change a little bit, or did you just stay being you, man?
It was very weird because, I mean, at Waverly, the class is huge. I didn't even know everybody in my, graduating class with me. Then coming here, 30 kids. I knew everybody as soon as I got here.
Yeah.
But it's awesome here. I love it.
And I'm guessing, I want to ask you, it seems like Paint Valley has kind of welcomed you in as one of our arms. I know I have. What's it been like just getting to learn the Paint Valley community a little bit?
Oh, it's awesome. The culture is crazy, and that's the best thing about it. There, football, and that's what I like. I love it.
That's something I wanted to ask is what's kind of like the differences in the atmosphere between, like a Waverly or being out there on the field at Paint Valley?
Paint Valley Stadium is just crazy. Yeah. I mean, having Copper's Mountain in the back, I mean, it's something to see.
Oh,
one of the best stadiums in Southern Ohio.
Yes.
That was my first time being there in quite a while since I was in Little League, because we were talking earlier. We just, after about 7th, 8th grade, you don't really play Paint Valley anymore as a Vinton County person. So being down there and being on that turf and just seeing it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is electric. This is crazy.
And Braylon can attest to those crowds, man. They get big and they get freaking loud, man.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it felt like there was twice as many people that were there than that was there. It seems like it's a tight-knit community where everybody that's a part of the community comes out and they're going to let you know they're there.
Yeah, hey, for sure, man. And Braylon, I kind of want to touch on another thing, too. You go to Waverly. Your freshman year in basketball, this is a crazy family stat. Your brother as a senior, and then your dad as the coach go to the Final Four in basketball. You're a freshman. You come off the bench. One of the best high school basketball games I ever watched. McLean and you guys in the, I think, was that the district final or the regional final?
I think that was the regional semifinal.
Yeah, and you come out. They had the scorer. I can't remember his name exactly. But all I heard about was, this guy can put the ball in the hoop. This guy can put the ball in the hoop, blah, blah, blah. And Braylon, as a freshman, he was definitely Sixth Man of the Year, whatever conference that you guys were in. I see him come off the bench. That guy had a couple of points, and he just disappeared. Braylon went out there, got in his face, did the nitty gritty work. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, people were about to fight at work over that game. You know what I mean? It's like I work right in the middle of Waverly, and or not in the middle of Waverly, right in between locations, and it's like, I don't want to. Michelle and Angie, like there was. I'll say their name. They were heated.
Battle of the Counties, man. It was insane. And as a freshman, he comes, he steps up, he rises to the occasion. You come over to Paint Valley the next year, and just my observation from the team, everybody kind of looked to you at that point as a leader. You've had success at Waverly, not just in basketball, obviously the Final Four, but in football. You're kind of a year older. How did you take the role of, all right, I was a sixth man, but I was playing good, but now I'm being looked to as a leader. How did you kind of take that role on?
It was a hard transition because I can't take any credit for the Final Four. I mean, my brother and Will, Mark, and all them dudes, I was really just a spot up, man. I was spot and shoot. That's what I was, to play defense.
Don't downplay yourself, though. That spot and shoot, you have an absolute strap.
But to do it as a young man, too, that's the thing. Like you said, you're giving credit where credit is due, but to still be able to play with those people at that age and things like that, like you got to give yourself credit, man.
Oh, humble guy. Just after the game, when I was talking to him, I was like, so how many touchdowns did you have? Like 4? He's like, yeah, I had 4. I was like, don't say like that. Just like
one thing
say
that I noticed is,
like, yeah, I had 4 tutties.
You conduct yourself really well. Now, I know, it got a little heated on later on in the game, but I also feel like it was at an appropriate time to where you maybe needed a little bit of a spark because it got a little funky there just for a second. But do you enjoy seeing defenders kind of be discouraged?
Scared?
Like, I'm telling you,
he
like,
hit somebody so hard,
he
hit somebody so hard the other kid shook his hand.
That's right about what he was talking about when he got a little heated.
I just sit there and I'm like, you got to get enjoyment out of it, do you? Like,
oh, yeah. I mean, it just brings the whole team up, like the energy. I mean, energy in football is one of the biggest things. If you have good energy, you guys are all clicking. I mean, stuff's going to go right.
I'm telling you, I did hear some choice words come from the coaches I was standing next to during that game as well for you. But I think when you get 4 tutties, I don't really think it matters anymore. But great game, man.
Coach Shue said it the best, I think. He said, every great team has one asshole. It just sucks for the other teams that Paint Valley's asshole. It's really freaking good, too.
The best.
You know what I mean? But, Braylon, you mentioned your brother. I gotta give him a shout out here. He hit one of the most in your face shots ever. He gets the ball right on the wing. 3 McLean guys on him, and his own teammates stand right next to him. Clock's winding down. Nothing but net. I mean, just absolutely splashed it in his eyeball.
Does that come from the parents? Like, this is a family thing. You got a whole canine.
Exactly. That's what I was about to go into. What's it like whenever, I met your dad. He's one of the most intense people I've ever met in my entire life. In the locker rooms last year as the assistant coach, I was ready to run through the wall and start playing. What's it like when you guys are just playing some backyard football, backyard basketball, man? Is that stuff getting tense?
Oh yeah, there's a very funny video. Is my dad and brother playing 2-on-2, opposite teams. My brother dropped him.
You gotta send it. We won't post it anywhere, but we gotta see it.
That's awesome, man. So is that your dad just instilling that? He said we're not losers whenever I'm around. So I'm guessing he instilled that into you.
Oh yeah, he is one of the most competitive people I've ever met, and I love it. It's how our whole family is.
Hell yeah, man! I love it, man. I think it's so awesome.
There's not a better way to be.
And some of the favorite times I had Pay Valley last year. We've been talking about football, but again, you were the starting point guard last year, and honestly, kind of played a little bit out of position. I would say you're kind of a shooting guard, like you said, with a catch and shoot. But I think for playing point guard when again, probably not your number one position, played way better than anybody could have ever asked him to. You know what I mean? He accepted that role and stood up. But those locker rooms, man, at halftime, I say his dad would call people out, but the players knew when Braylon got on there, it was, all right. You know what I mean? Your intensity, man, it makes me go back to that leadership question I was asking. How have you stepped up to going from, like I said, the sixth man coming off the bench to everybody's looking at you as the leader now?
It was different, but I mean, I had great guys to help me, like Daxie Steph. I mean, me and him both, and Cole Miller and Kevin, we all did it together. They helped me, and I mean, it was a great season, really. It was fun.
It was, and not too my own horn. I've been on some pretty good teams around at Pay Valley for football, basketball, baseball. And one thing that was constant on all those teams was we were happy to be around each other. You know what I mean? It was fun to be in the locker room. It was fun to be at practice. It was fun to, West Virginia camp, as I know you know, going down there, going to Keglers, doing outside things. And that's something I picked up on you guys last year, man. It was they had that chemistry on the court because they had the chemistry off the court. And I think that's something that isn't talked about enough, in especially high school sports. When it's you and the boys out there, you know what I mean? Like just balling on people. It's so much more fun, and you can see it on the court. And I'm seeing it on the field this year with Preston coming in from Hillsboro. Have you kind of helped him like with his transition from another bigger school to Paint Valley and being like, hey man, I just went through this last year, kind of helping him along the way?
Yeah, me and Preston talk a good bit. He's great. He's a good quarterback, and I'll give him credit. He runs the ball hard. He runs it hard.
He does. He had a nice lower the shoulder hit there the other day. What were you saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been his ear all week. I was like, you're gonna lower your shoulder. Get in him. Yeah. He everyone at Pay Valley brings everybody in great. I mean, it's no like, I don't know. Nobody doesn't like anybody. We're all family.
Hell yeah.
What's funny is it's funny that you said that you've been in his ear all week. As soon as he lowered his shoulder and got that big hit, Clay goes, well, they're just doing his best Braylon impersonation right there.
Braylon, we've been talking about how much of a stud you are on the football and the basketball court. What's some stuff that you like to do whenever you're not destroying people?
Golf, actually.
Whoa, didn't expect
just
that.
played 9 holes. Got here 45 minutes ago.
Our family got into it. My brother, my dad, and me. We go out all the time. It's really fun, actually.
Dude, that's awesome. I love to hear that. I can drive it, but whenever it gets to anything else, Top Golf, here I come. That's how I play golf. Braylon,
I'm not very good either.
hey, as long as you're having fun, man, that's all that matters.
Drive for show, putt for dough, bud. I'm telling you, you want to beat the fam? Get that putter out.
Well, Braylon, hey, thanks for coming on today. Again, good luck to you guys this season. Good luck to you guys next week to West Jeff. If it's anything like last week, man, I'm expecting big things out of you. I will say the only thing I'm disappointed in is you personally beat me in fantasy this week. So, man, thanks for coming out to the show, and we hope to have you on again soon.
All right, thank you guys.
Everybody,
have a good one, my man.
Braylon Robertson. What a kid, man.
Dude,
like we were talking about, dude. There are 4 people on him, and it's almost like he stopped running because he's like, I'll just go down. You know what I mean? Like
something else I was thinking is like maybe he was talking to Carson a little bit too, and that's why he was letting those big hits on defense, dude. I don't care what anybody says. He saved that touchdown.
That was a stopped touchdown. Tony, I know you know what we're talking about. When at the end of the game, Blanchester scores that last touchdown, and Carson Free comes literally. They're from one hash going over. He starts on the opposite side of one hash and comes all the way over. Touchdown saving tackle.
Oh, from where we were in the end zone. In the end zone, we saw it perfect, clean as day.
I wish we told MVT to get the replay ready because you can see plain as day. Game or touchdown saving tackle. So, but kind of like Braylon said, getting in his ear there.
I think this might be it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just.
No,
Paint Valley, it's crazy, right? Because all the things I'm saying right now, Paint Valley, it's a family, it's heavy hitting, it's this, it's that. That was all under Coach Holland. They're under a completely different coach now.
I think it is this one where.
And then they're completely under a different coach now. Where, this is it. So you see Carson Free, you can't even see him on the camera. There he comes, flying over, knee down,
and then this
doesn't cross the pylon. Touchdown saving tackle.
This line judge calls it on the half-yard line, and then the other guy, the actual guy coming from in the middle, for the other side of the field, I can see what's happening over here even better than you can. That's a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think so, pal.
Yeah, but again, I want to give such a huge shout out to Corey Dye because, again, if you don't agree with my opinion, there's other shows out there. You know what I mean? But with Paint Valley, I didn't want somebody to come in and change the culture. You know what I mean? I know a lot of coaches want to come in. They want to, establish the way they do things. They want to do it their way, everything like that. And I get that. But again, might be biased, but I thought the way Paint Valley had it was perfect. You know what I mean? And Corey, he said, I love what he said. He says, I didn't want to change the culture. He's like, I just kind of want to add to it a little bit. And I think he's done a great job of doing that.
That's something I can say about TJ Carper as a coach for Vinton County.
Yes,
so,
yes.
They are still there's a reason I said 3 yards in a cloud of dust 1,000 times on Friday. And it's because growing up in Vinton County, that was our style.
Greatest thing of all time.
He's just added a little bit of winning mentality as well as a little bit of bubble passes, a little bit of short passes, some long passes. He's just adding just a little bit to it, but keeping the bases with a power back like Garrett Brown.
And the greatest thing of all time, as if you guys watch the live stream, there's 2 things we couldn't stop saying. Football's back, baby. And 3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? First, turn on Vinton County versus Unioto. First thing I hear out of the announcer's mouth.
He says 4 or 5. He says 4 or 5.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. I said, oh, my God.
No, he goes, it's 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust. He changed it just a little bit.
But actually, kind of good transition. I want to talk about that Vinton County Unioto game a little bit. What a barn burner that was, dude. I mean,
and people will be like, it was only a 20-21 score. How's it a barn burner? It was back and forth.
Yes.
It was crazy. Vinton County had 5 turnovers and then a couple of missed opportunities on getting turnovers themselves. It was just a back and forth. Some big plays.
I mean, yeah, talk about the big plays. Hoops, 70-yard touchdown pass. And then Hayborn, 46-yard or Parker, 46-yard touchdown pass.
That was 2 Hayborns.
Yes, and then Hembry, he comes, he gets a 41-yard touchdown run, and that's when Vinton County goes up 14-7, like you say. And then to end the half, 57-yard touchdown pass, Hoops to Cutright, 14-14, 43 seconds
that was
left.
coming off of, he had it and just kind of lost it, and it landed right into the Unioto's player's hand, and the next play, Cutright.
Hey, we saw those workout videos from Hoops over the summer. That throw right there, I was like, that's where that pays off. You know what I mean? But then Vinton County, kind of like what Coach Combs says, Vinton County comes out, and they stick to the program. They hand off, run the ball, and not in a boring way. They're
Garrett
getting
Brown,
5 yards a carry pretty much out throughout that game.
And then he ends up putting it in for their last score.
Yeah.
Kind of as like one of like the leaders out there, just puts it in, and just unfortunately he missed the kick at the end. To get it blocked. Not necessarily a miss. It was a block. I will say this: when I was watching the game, I saw the first one and it almost got blocked, and I was like, oh. I would have been scared if I was doing that game. I'd have been like, this is probably going to be a...
Which kind of tells you that Unioto definitely saw something. Obviously, I know it's hard to get film, especially for field goals in the offseason. So my guess is that this would be something I want to ask Coops. Maybe they saw something last year because they exploited that middle every single time. Like kind of like you said, that first field goal he kicked, I definitely thought it was going to get blocked. Especially knowing a block's happening, that was like, oh, this is it. Does happen. Then the second one,
kid comes around from the edge, and he's just half a second
the
late.
second one, too, again, they blow up that middle. I'm like, oh, this is the one, too. No. And so that last one, I double-checked, and it's what they had done all night. They blow up that middle, and they
have the wear and tear of the game, and then it comes down. It's just who wants it a little bit more right now, or who's got a little bit of extra gas left in them that the other person maybe just doesn't have.
And I'd like to re-see it because that last field goal, it looked like Unioto said, we don't care about the ends. We're putting everyone in that middle. It looked like the middle guys just bum rush to get everybody down there to make room for the second wave of people to come in and block it. Like it definitely looked strategical. You know what I mean? It didn't look like it was, Unioto got away with one getting a block. It looked like all night they were like, hey, I think we can get a blocked field goal, and that could be the deciding factor in the game.
If you're watching high school football and you think that these coaches aren't sitting up there and like realizing exactly what you're talking about, I stood next to them for the entire game for Paint Valley. I'm not saying it's the same one, but some of the things that I want to say, I don't want to say out loud because it literally is like
How was
in
that
the
experience,
trade.
though? I've never had the experience of sitting.
What you're
next to
talking about was talked about for them, and the one thing I barely want to mention is you could talk about 4 touchdowns. There was really interesting kickoffs.
So yeah, I'm glad you said that. It almost looked like, I don't want to say an onside kick. I think you said right, like a pooch kick. Every single time, that they were in
I
K Valley.
don't want to say anything else, but it was on purpose and in specific reasons and locations.
My favorite thing is at halftime, right? We're coming out. The second half's about to start, and I said something about. Clay said, "Looks like Blanchester's going to get the ball here to start the half," and I was like, "Well, honestly, they're going to have to recover that ball first."
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if didn't bounce, fumbled it right back to him, and then was that Reed that got that one as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Reed had a big night for him, man.
I know when he ripped that one just ripped it right out of Bryce Hipple's hands, and I believe it was Bryce Hipple's hands. Just took it about 10 yards the other way. That was crazy.
And we could sit around and try and figure out why they did this, right? Or we could have the leading wins. Leading wins in basketball. Absolute champion with the districts. Has the longest basketball winning streak of all time. And on top of that, is leading Unioto to playoffs and to league title success. The one, the only, Matt Hoops. Matt, my man, how's it going?
It's going.
Heck yeah.
How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing good. We just want to jump right into it. Adam here, he's a Vinton County alum, so you tore his heart out on Friday, so it was fun for me to watch. We were kind of talking about the field goals there. It looks like in the first quarter, you guys explode through the middle, almost get one there. Then that second touchdown, it looks like you almost did it again. And then the third one, you finally come away with that block. Is that something that you guys kind of saw in film from either a scrimmage or something from last year, and you knew you could exploit it?
Actually, we didn't. We didn't get any of their extra points or kicking on the film that we had to leading up to the game. So we really didn't have too much of an idea with that. I did watch in pregame kick their kickers kicking in pregame, and you kind of get a little bit of a feel for maybe how far they could if they did a field goal, or how quick or how they are to the ball and their approach. And after I watched their first PAT and we almost got it, I was really urging our guys to for maximum effort on these extra points. And believe me, when they scored to cut it to 21-20, I was really involved in terms of that special teams situation, almost begging those guys, make a play right here, and it might be the difference in the game. And KB Perkins was able to get through there, and 6'5" and got his arms up in the air, and it just hit one of his hands. And
I hope he got that game
it was
ball.
fortunate for us. Well, it was Vinton County, so we couldn't steal that one. But, we are going to probably make him our special teams player of the week for sure for that.
Heck yeah! Again, you could, like you said, from that first field goal, you're kind of like, oh, they can get one here. And I kind of want to give you guys this. Adam knows a little bit more than I do. That Vinton County Unioto rivalry has really been a staple of Week 1 here. You guys go down 14-7, make the comeback to go huge play at the end of the first half to go tie it up 14-14. How does that kind of help you go into the second half? Finally, get that third touchdown. My apologies, and then kind of ride that wave. Pun intended.
Pun intended. Yeah.
To the W at the end.
Oh, honestly, as far as I can remember, this Week 1 game is always a close game.
Yeah.
Both teams could be really good. Both teams could be average. Both teams could be bad.
Both teams could be scoring about 30 points to 40 points each week, but in that Week 1, they're going to be below 28.
Below 21 is usually the number. I think the last 2 years we've won 21-6 and then 21-20. So 21 is the most you're getting.
Yeah.
And then the following couple weeks we were in the 40s, and I believe Vinton County scored in the high 20s and 30s for the rest of the season as well. It's just, and I think that's a lot with Week 1 matchups just all over. It's a lot of guys' first time on Friday nights, and it's a very physical game. I think the first quarter kind of both teams were trying to establish what they wanted to do throughout the game, and both teams' defenses were playing pretty well. And honestly, when we scored to go up 7-0, I thought, man, this is what we need kind of to relax us. And I didn't want our players to take that approach in terms of just letting up, but like settle down and just settle into the game. But
Right.
Vinton County stuck to their game plan and ended up driving the ball down the field and scoring again to tie it at 7, and eventually scoring again to go up 14-7. And yeah, we were lucky to get an interception with about a minute to go in the half, and then hit a big touchdown pass.
So
going into half,
as soon as you get that interception, is it in your head? We got to go for a shot here.
It was in my head. Newton was automatically calling it.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, shocker.
That's something I wanted to talk about, is just winning the turnover battle. Vinton County, they did have 5 turnovers, and I was kind of talked to it earlier with Shane, just about how Newton was just able to be a leader and kind of not force those turnovers. And I know he almost throws a pick there. I think it was. Was that
right before that touchdown right there? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like right before the half, and then immediately realized, you know what, I got to score here. I got to punch it. I got to punch it in, and kind of steps up.
Yeah, he got lucky on a few bad decisions that he made, and he'll be the first one to tell you now after the game. During it, he's like he swears they're open, but you watch it on film.
That was something that I just when I saw that happen, I was just like, that's just. That's a great head on him, just to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected and not let it affect him. He's like, oh, that was a bad one. I got away with it. I'm going to go ahead and throw a good one this time. That speaks volumes to him.
Honestly, it's probably the first time that I've seen him all game long continue. And I think it was because he realized he had so many first-time guys out there with him. He was constantly talking about next play. I mean, I heard him say next play, probably more than I heard him say anything on Friday night, which was really encouraging, because he understands, the process that you have to go through, making your first Friday night appearance, which a lot of those guys did, and for him to be able to kind of lead them and kind of be the calm and all of that, I guess a mess that sometimes Friday night
mentality than next play mentality.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Like offense, defense, the entire team picks up on that. Like defense, that's very, very key too. If I hear those words as a corner, which is what I played, that makes me calm too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's nice to have, for me, it was Anthony McFadden, man. It was so nice to have him out there, because we could be up by 40, we could be down by 40, we could be up by 1, we could be down by 1 on a game-winning drive, and he was like, all right, guys, calm down. Almost like no emotion. And as a lineman, I'm like, I'm the one protecting you, buddy. Like, I'm glad you're not sitting here ripping me, saying like, hey, let's do a little bit better here. Another thing you kind of harped on. Yeah, he had some first-time guys out there, but I thought you guys had a beautiful balance between the run game and the pass game. I thought you had some great calls of, you've been running the ball, then you take a shot there. You had a bunch of players, catch the ball, make a move, and make a big play. Can you just talk about that a little bit for me?
Yeah, our offensive coordinator, Bill Bryant, he's one of the best around, and our game plan is to kind of spread it out amongst everyone that we have that can make plays. We actually ended up throwing the ball 26 times. I think we were 14 for 26, and we also ran the ball 26 times. So that's as balanced as you can make it. A lot of those runs were late in the game when our defense made one final stop that they needed to, and we were able to run the ball and eventually run the clock out. So, you got to be able to stay balanced. Obviously, one sets up the other, or vice versa, however you want to do it. But Friday night we were able to do that.
Yeah, and another question I kind of want to say, we've been kind of saying, and Combs said it a little bit earlier, the week 1 matchups you don't always want to look a whole bunch into. But I feel like with you guys playing probably your biggest out-of-conference rival, to win a game like that, you got to be thinking that's some good momentum going to week 2. How do you kind of – yes, you have the good momentum, but keep the guys on the right path, not getting too excited about it?
Well, and our coaching staff said this after the game, we have a lot to correct, but it's a lot more fun to correct it after you win, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that, we had our coaches meeting this morning. We'll get with the guys again tomorrow after school, and I think they'll be excited to fix what we need fixed. I think they're excited to, I think Vinton County is a good football team. I think Vinton County, I think they win 7, 8, 9 games, to be honest with you. And we hope that they do, obviously, because that's playoff points for us. So, that was a big win for us on the road. We get to turn around and get our home opener this week against Amanda, who had a big win on Friday. So, we're looking forward to this week.
Heck yeah. Coach, I wanted to ask you something. This has been something I've honestly been wanting to ask you for years. I coached 7th grade basketball, and I coached JV basketball, and I could not imagine coaching 2 sports at once. You've taken on one of the biggest challenges I've probably ever seen. You get it done on the hardwood, winning a bunch of district titles. Like I said, you have the longest winning streak in SVC history, and then you go on the gridiron and don't miss a beat. I mean, going to the playoffs, you have your players setting records. What made you decide to do that? I mean, I feel like everybody thought you were kind of crazy there at the beginning.
That's true, but I've said this several times. Before doing that, I was doing more work in terms of our athletic department. I was the assistant athletic director, which was in charge of middle school athletics.
Mm-hmm.
I was already coaching middle school football for our I don't know, I'd done it for probably. Well, I coached you in middle school, so.
Oh yeah,
that was.
I think that was like your first season.
How do you say? Oh yeah.
I kind of forgot. I'm not gonna lie,
one of the goats.
But yeah,
that was. I'd coached for a while, and then I came back and started coaching. Then I'd been doing it since then. Then I started when my daughter was in junior high. They needed a track coach, and they said, "Well, you're going to be at the meets. You want to coach track?" And I was like, I've never coached track, but I did it.
Let's figure it out.
I was coaching middle school football, middle school track, and I was the assistant AD as well as being the basketball coach. So I was doing way more work at that point than I am right now, because with the varsity basketball and football stuff, I can overlap things, and obviously I set both of the schedules, so I'm able to get guys where they need to be and when they need to be there, and it's busy for sure, but at the same time it's not anything that I wasn't already doing, and I honestly feel like I have more free time this way.
That's awesome.
I'd just like to ask, do you have to be able to coach track, and you're like, oh, I've never done that before, and to be able to be successful in multiple sports, do you have a common theme, like something that you bring with you to each team, or just do you show up and say, this is the group that I have and this is what I'm going to do? But
well, that you mean, honestly, that is, you're dealt the hand you're dealt every year, so that the kids change from year to year. I think the one common theme is, they have to know you care about them and you have their best interest in mind, and you build that relationship with them, and they're athletes, and they're participating in whatever sport it is because they want to do that and they want to be great at it. So you just have to help them be great at it and reach their fullest potential. I think one of the things is you have to make it. It's a lot of work, obviously, but you've got to make it fun for them. You've got to give them, kids these days are into, they're into everything. Like they want all the gear, they want, all of that stuff. And I think it's, it plays a big part of it when you can give kids nice things and have them work and let them know that working hard is not a bad thing. You may work hard and may not even get to play, but it's not something that's going to be bad for you. You're going to carry that work ethic with you for the rest of your life. And once you are able to get kids to buy into that and enjoy being a part of something bigger than themselves, it's, success will happen. And,
success will happen.
I hope people listen to this. That is so well said. And honestly, just props to you. That is just
a lot more than just success happened there, Coach. You again go to the playoffs, and what you've been doing on the football field is amazing. But I cannot let you get off the show without talking. One of the greatest streaks in basketball history on the SVC. You were right in the heart of that. I remember I got to play with the Kyle Strange and the Nick Overly. I know Nate Parker didn't play in high school, but him and Trevor Detillion, and then Nick Corcoran, who I personally believe is one of the best shooters to ever walk through the SVC. I mean, I got to play with him on an AAU team. And how did I want to ask? How did you maintain the pressure in that streak? Because you guys still showed up every single night. Obviously, you had that huge target on your back, but you still delivered. I gotta have you talk about that a little bit.
Honestly, it was. It took on a life of its own.
It did.
And I think that, the first 3 years that I was at Unioto, if you would have told me we would have won 69 games total in my whole coaching career, I would have taken it, because the first 3 years, I think we won, let's see, 16 games, 16 games in the first 3 years. So once we got it rolling, I think it started in 2013 was the year. We lost our first league game to Zane Trace in overtime at home, and we won the next 13. And then that next year's group of seniors, they were really good basketball players.
Was that Alex True's senior year?
Alex True's senior year. Alex True was our only senior, and then of course Coach Blue was a senior in that group as well.
Hey, big shout out to Coach Blue. Big shout out to Coach Blue.
I got a funny story I'll tell you about that his senior year if we have time for it. But anyway, that was Alex True's senior year. We go 13-1, and then the next year we have Alec Adkins, Kyle Strange, Nick Overly, Nick Corcoran their senior year, and man, those guys just took that momentum off of a 20-4 season.
Alec was
year.
A quiet striker for you guys. I remember he went off and was it like one of the district games, I think?
District finals. Finals. He was the best player. He was probably the player of the game that game, coming off the bench, which was really cool because the semifinal game against Athens, Alec was really sick, had a bad cold, and didn't play a whole lot. I can remember practicing for that game against Athens. We were up at OUC, and Alex literally had a box of Kleenexes by him at the free throw line during practice because he was coughing and he had snot everywhere, and we didn't really know if he was going to be able to play, but got a little bit of
moxie.
Yeah.
Yes.
That district final, man, he came off the bench, and I think he had 17 points and was just really, really big for us. But that was year 2 of the streak. Year 3, thought maybe it was an opportunity to take a step back, but we didn't. That senior group of Eric Hosley, Cole Cottrell, Isaac Wheeler, and those guys, man, they continue to go. And actually, we lost Cole Cottrell halfway through that season.
Yeah, I remember
breaking both of his wrists, and man, it could have been over then, but our guys continued to fight and rose to the occasion. And
that's what I thought was so great about that streak is there's so many times, like you just said, Cole goes down, Alec gets sick, and then he comes back the next day. You had so many players come out of nowhere. I guess come out of nowhere to us, but probably not to you, that just stepped up, rose to the occasion, and kept that thing going. And that's what I thought was so amazing about it is you
just when you thought it was over,
it
kept going.
And just when you're like, oh yeah, these are the scores here. Who's this guy over here scoring 10, 15 a game?
Next play, next man mentality.
Yeah. I believe you were talking about how you guys were playing them and you thought you guys were about to end it. And the next thing you know, just platoon swap 5 new players in. You're like, I don't even see these guys the entire game.
So
and they just start dropping buckets on you.
I remember it was Logan Swackhammer's freshman year was my senior year. And we had Unioto at Paint Valley. It was crazy. I worked the office last period. And like the fans were waiting to get in, and school was still on. You know what I mean? So a huge game. We start the fourth quarter. I want to say it was a 2-point game. I can't remember which way. And I'm like, oh, we got a good shot here. And the next people I see come out was like Sawyer Lovely and like that freshman class. And I knew them personally. I'm like, oh, man, these guys can ball. And they just ran us to death because my fat lord had to be out on the court. And kind of like what you alluded to, you guys had so much depth on those teams. It was ridiculous.
That was the thing. It was like, Swack and Kennedy and Gabe Fisher and Peyton Hill, their freshman year, they were, those guys were a part of that. But then by the time they got to a senior and they'd already been through it for 3 seasons, like there was no way they were letting it fall off.
Yeah.
So, that group completed it and ended at 69 games in a row. And I always joke with Eric Hosley because that first game that we lost would have been his sophomore year. He was late to shoot around, so I didn't start him. And he didn't score that game. He didn't have the best game ever. And we lost. And I said, look, Eric, man, if you'd have just been on time to shoot around, we'd have been 70 in a row, five, 6.
That's why you're a GOAT coach, though. Come on. That is why
he
you
was
win.
He was late to shoot around. We lost in overtime. He didn't score, and for the next 3 seasons, I don't think he was ever late again. And, we laugh about it now. Laugh about it now, but it was, I look back at that and I think, daggone it, Eric, if you could have just got there, we'd have been fine. He wasn't.
But way to stand your ground. That's a great coach.
Coach,
man.
I got to hear this Alan Blue story.
Right. So Coach Blue, I met Alan when I was my first year teaching. I had Alan in class, which he was in first grade, and I kind of just, he and I hit it off. He loved sports, and we'd always talk sports. And I ended up making him just basically our little water boy manager all the way through his elementary, junior high, high school days. And by the time he got to be a senior, I asked him. I said, Alan, it's your senior night coming up. Do you want to play in the game or do you want to coach the game? Because he always said he was a coach. And I said, he's like, that my passion is coaching. And I said, okay, so you want to coach the game? And he said, yeah. So that was the year we were 12-1 at the time. We had Westfall at home for the last game of the SVC, and we'd already clinched the league outright. I think the next closest team had 2 losses or 3 losses. We only had 1, so it was, we couldn't do we won it by ourselves.
Right.
So I'd reached out to Trevor Youngkin at Westfall, their coach, and I said, listen, I got a senior here. I'm going to allow him to coach this game. Obviously, I'm going to be sitting on the bench with the rest of my staff, and we're going to, technically be coaching the game. But Alan's going to think that he's in charge of this whole situation, and we're just going to go with it if you're cool with it. I'm not trying to, I just didn't want him to think that we were
right.
I didn't want him to think that we were trying to, making him, trying to show him up or anything. And he completely understood. Obviously, he was more than, he was gracious and
awesome.
Really wanted to help us out with that. So Coach Blue's out there in his suit and tie, and he's coaching away, and we were actually losing. We were down 5 with like 2.5, 3 minutes to go in the game, and there was a timeout, and Alan has this look in his eye, almost tears in his eyes, and he looks at me and he's like, "You want me to sit down now?" And I said, "No, you got us in this mess. You got to get us out of it."
That's awesome.
And we ended up winning, and Coach Blue retired after that game with the highest winning percentage in Unita history at 1-0.
I'm bringing it up next time I see him. I swear to God.
Oh, you see him in Kroger and you ask him about it, and he'll tell you all about it.
I literally see him once a week.
What's crazy
I swear
is
to
that
God,
was in the midst of a 69 game winning streak. Technically, it's only 68 for you as a coach.
Yeah, I don't get. Yeah, got to knock one down.
That's awesome, man. Knowing Alan, man, he is the epitome of Unita culture, man. And that's something I wanted to have you kind of talk about a little bit, Coach. Whenever I went to Unita, I was from Paint Valley. I was an outsider looking in, going in. I think personally, you've done a big part in making the culture there, not just in football, not just basketball, but the fans of what it is today. How passionate they are, how much they love to be a Sherman. I remember. I can't remember exactly what game it was. I want to say it was Colin Hill's junior or senior year, and we had a big pep rally, and you were like, when we win this game tonight, I want you guys right here, center court, cheering with us, the student section. And I remember, I think it was against Huntington or something, you guys win, and they completely stormed the court, and it was almost like that was the defining moment of, this is how the culture is going to be now. We're going to show up, we're going to take care of business, but we're going to have fun while we're doing it. And I kind of wanted you to just talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. And we had, like I said, those first few years they were tough. And I think that was probably at about year 5 or 6, when we kind of started to turn the corner and had a winning season or 2 in a row. And we were actually, I think that was 2011. I think it was our first SVC championship we had won since '95. That was in the middle of that season.
Yeah.
And I remember that year very well. Those guys were a tough bunch of guys. I think that was Cole Murray, Andrew Warner. That group were seniors. And
really good point guard. I think he was underappreciated, Cole Murray. Very good point guard.
He was small, He was very smart. He was a really good player. He ended up spraining his ankle right around Christmas break, and really wasn't quite the same after that. But just gutted it out the rest of the season. Yeah, I remember that was a huge pep rally. That was, I believe, when one of our teachers, the late Amy Deal, had passed away, and she was going through some stuff. And I remember I think everyone had orange shirts that night.
Yeah,
it was just
I remember that.
sea of orange, and it was one of those games where Huntington was really good. Travis Reinhardt was coaching them at the time, who had coached for us the previous 3 years, and he went out to Huntington, where he was from, and kind of got them turned around, and we were vying for an SVC championship with those guys, and it was a really big night and a really big win for us. So yeah, that was a fun night. But yeah, just I don't know. Uniota's a unique place in terms of. I said this last weekend. I was on the Gridiron Glory had a little round table that I was on. And these other schools were talking about their culture and their community. Where Uniota's a little bit different, where we don't have a Bainbridge, or we don't have Kingston or Frankfort, or like some other schools. Vinton County has, they're the only school. So we kind of shared a little bit with Chillicothe. So it's a little bit different in that you don't have that really true small town feel, but it's still there. It's obvious. We're not that big of a school off, but the people that are at Uniota and support our sports programs have been there for years and support it like no other, and it's a really neat place.
Yeah, they're very consistent.
That's why I always say that Uniota is one of my favorite out-of-conference rivalries that Vinton County has. It's probably our biggest because we always play you guys week 1, and it always just anytime Vinton County and Uniota are playing, that's the start of football to me. So I love that matchup. So I love Uniota and I love Vinton County. So it's kind of like I don't know, I just love it.
I worked in a restaurant for years when I was getting my degrees, and it's like Uniota used to come in after major basketball games and football games and different things like that, and like you'd have like one runner come in before anybody else did, and they'd be like, "Hey, we got this."
Uniota's here.
It'd literally be like 22, 25 people, and it's like they were always cool because they knew it's it's later on in the night. They're just like, let's get it going, and we always got it done. They were always respectful, and I was very pleased with it. And again, I'm from Philadelphia, so I don't know like the history with this stuff, but the way they came in, and they always knew that they had to send a runner early to get their section in the right side of it. But they took care of business, and they were great people, man. And you could just tell, again, like you said, it may not be the entire community, but what they have is passionate.
It's special, too. Again, I think what's unique about Uniota fans is they're very, very passionate, but they're also very smart about the sport that they're talking about. You know what I mean? It's not like an average fan where it's like, this player's really good. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they know the stats.
I read it once.
Yeah.
It's like, no, because I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah. It's a unique thing to watch. Coach, I wanted to give you and the Hoops household a chance to redeem yourselves here. I know with Newt, his tailgate plate was Chick-fil-A chips and some water.
I can tell you're disappointed in that. He is disappointed in that.
So, Coach, I wanted to give you a round yourself. It's Ohio State Michigan game. You're up in Columbus. You got a main course, 2 sides, and a drink. What are you doing for your tailgate plate?
Main course. Now, look, Newton wasn't wrong with the Chick-fil-A.
I thought that was a number. Yes, I'm with you with that.
He's
number one pick.
He's not wrong with that because Tom Lewis, our friend, the tailgate when we go there, he has Chick-fil-A every time. So, Newton doesn't really know anything other than if we go tailgate at Ohio State.
That's what he knows. Chick-fil-A
if you only know the
sandwiches.
best, you only need the best.
So that isn't a problem, and I'm not opposed to selecting that, but I don't know. I'm going with buffalo chicken dip. I'll start with my side.
Okay.
Buffalo chicken dip for sure. You got to have some of that. Buffalo chicken dip. I like some vegetables and ranch dip too.
That's not a bad
I'm
pick.
a fan.
Yeah.
Always
bad pick.
cold, calming, especially after some
Yeah.
buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let Newton have the Chick-fil-A. I'll take a hamburger, cheeseburger.
I was about to say a cheeseburger to me is like tailgate central. You know what I mean? Like
It's kind of like when I go to a baseball game, I want to get a dog.
You're getting a hot dog. Yeah.
but it's like you have so many different condiments, different things. You could put buffalo chicken dip on the
on
burger.
the cheeseburger. Yeah,
Like the possibilities are endless.
or you could go the shoe route and get bear meat.
right?
It's
like, do I want to eat it? Yes. But,
It's like, yeah, this guy just shot in his backyard.
Are you keeping the drink as water, or are you switching it up?
Well, High State, Michigan, recently we've had a basketball game that night, so I would have to go water that day.
But
you know?
we're going to say that.
no game.
Yeah, no game that day.
I'm sure there'll be an adult beverage around.
Yes, salty cold ones. It could
Hey,
be a Sprite. It could be whatever you want.
That's how you know he's a
Salty
good
cold.
coach. He has a good time. Coach, I'm so glad you got to come on here. Great conversation with you. I think you guys are going to do some big things this year. I can tell you one thing. This is definitely not going to be the last time you're on here. It was a lot of fun having you on here today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And like I said, anytime I'm more than willing to come on. If you guys are still coming to our place next week 2 weeks against Waverly, I'd be more than happy to help accommodate whatever you guys need. Stop by the show, whatever.
News breaker right here. Yes,
We are pumped.
We're going to go ahead and throw that out there. We will have our game day show there for that Waverly Unionta game. That is one game. We were looking at the schedules in the off season, and we were looking at the non-conference schedule, and that was the big circle. Like, hey guys, week 3, we're going to that game. We'll figure everything else out.
I'm excited to meet you, Coach. I'm telling you, you got my Jimmy's Russell.
It's going to be a good time, Coach.
I'm glad we're waiting a week in between this Vinton County loss because I might still be a little broken-hearted. might shed a tear if I see this coming up week.
I don't blame you because I'll be honest, man. Those guys played well enough to win. It was a heck of a game, very physical, and I told Coach Carper that after the game. It's tough to, obviously we're not giving the win back, but it's tough.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's tough from a coaching standpoint to be that close and play that well and to come up that short. Believe me, I've been on that end before, and it's hard to do. But those guys will bounce back. I'm sure they'll have a great season.
Oh, yeah, like I said, I keep saying that he's doing great things back there. I felt like for the longest time, the one thing that was missing from Vinton County football was a winning mentality, and that's something that he has brought back to us.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Coach Combs there with the basketball program. Now Coach Kite's still got that thing rolling, and with Coach Carper, their football program's in good hands as well. So, yeah, they should a lot to be excited about in Vinton County.
Heck yeah, everybody, the absolute legend from Unionta. He's not just destroying it on the football field as a coach. He's not destroying it as a basketball coach. He's also destroying it as a teacher, as a human being.
I was literally about to say human being. Like,
The one,
God.
the only, Matt Hoops.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you for coming out.
Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Wow. What, man. Those are some of the questions I've probably been wanting to ask him for years, but every single time I see him, I'm the assistant coach, so I don't say anything, you know what I mean?
Are there divorce papers in here? Because I want to marry this man. Okay? Like, what?
Dude,
What a coach,
the
man.
answer that he gave about, the relationship, letting them know the kids that could be there, and like, I thought it was so amazing him say, he's like, I just want to give some of these kids something nice, you know what I mean? Like,
My favorite was when he was like, when you were like, now do you try to go something deep? He goes, yeah, who knew it was already called for
he's
it?
like, yeah, knew
He's called for it.
it
from
was
the
pretty
start.
much saying, I just said it so he just stopped saying it. That's
Have
pretty
you
much-
guys ever run track?
No.
Go coach it.
I've read cross
Freaking coach
country.
it. Are you kidding me? Like, that is a big thing
Here's
to
the
me.
crazy thing. I thought it was crazy. They're like, hey, you'll be there.
You just want you're already there. You're already showing up. Why don't you just throw this coaching hat on?
Look, I don't toot my horn often. I have a school record, 1.
What's that?
I was walking to practice, and I was asked by a coach, do you want to run the 4x4? I said, sure. Again, small school,
Yeah.
not a lot of kids. He said the, not shot put, what's the
Discus. Yeah.
He was going to run the first leg just to let him. We had great runners. One of them ran at Rutgers. One of them ran at LSU. So, of course, I said, send it.
Yeah.
Ran it. I ran it in, I think, like 57, which is a solid time. Broke the school record, everything like that. Everybody's like, hell yeah. I'm sitting in the background like, dude, I don't even want to be here. Like, these guys are so much better than me. But that being said, but like just stepping into track, tasting it, and coming back, like when he said that, that's huge
Yeah.
to me. Like to just, I know he's going to be there and be a coach, but like you have to carry not necessarily like skill in track, but like a coaching mentality through all of those sports. And when you're
And I
that
feel like it's
freaking
more
good, you do.
technique, too. So it's like, hey, I don't know this technique, but I want you to learn it real quick and coach it. Like, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I don't care if
maybe
it's
you
a
could
YouTube
get away
video.
with, just jumping into a middle school track, but then immediately you're like, you're going to be there coaching middle school? Well, go ahead and coach the high school. Like, that's just crazy.
it's insane. Talk about some other crazy things as we're wrapping up here, guys. Spain winning the Women's World Cup. That's their first one. And, again, I don't want to take anything away from them. Congratulations to Spain.
Yeah.
Winning the first Women's World Cup for them.
not to win it.
I was shocked because the United States didn't win it. I'm not going to lie.
We don't want to win this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like I just expect them to win every single. I know that kind of sounds a little arrogant, but I was just like, yeah, World Cup stars, the United States women's team is going to win it. And then I heard they get bounced in like the round of 16 or something.
When they walk and talk like they're going to win it, that's what we thought. And a retired player had a lot to say about that, and she just spoke on. When you've been there and done that, now you think you've arrived, and you don't have the same moxie that they had when they were playing Japan back then. I remember watching that game, and, like, that was one of the best soccer games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I still have chills right now from it, and that is those players. But now it's carried on, and everybody thinks it's just going to be continued dominance like it would be for Spain in men, not necessarily with World Cup, but just soccer, period. And it wasn't, and she spoke on that. When you get that mentality, if you have a massage scheduled up, and you're not going to show up for it, usually out of courtesy, you text that person and let that professional do their other thing. But they're known for not showing up for those things and making them sit around for a while. Are they going to show up late? Whether it be throwing the warm-ups, before, they were pretty known for, taking care of their own things.
Tight-knit schedule.
They set it up.
What you're saying is, the biggest thing from what I got from what you said was it used to be, hey, we're the best, and we're going to prove we're the best.
Yeah.
Now it's we're the best, and we don't need to prove it.
Well,
Yeah, it's like we know we're the best because we've put the work in to be the
There's
best.
a big difference between respecting the people around you, and that creates a culture.
Yeah.
You have the skill. Those girls have the skill. They are the best female soccer players in the world.
And it's one thing
But
for
when you're throwing your thing and being like, oh, there's some guy that's going to pick this up for me. That's not the mentality that breeds against something like
the
the
shopping
Netherlands
cart.
who
Like,
shows
go out
up
there
and
and
do you
dogs
return the shopping cart or do you just let it stay in the parking lot?
Let a
They
player.
said you celebrate a 1-1 tie like you just advanced somewhere to Portugal. It's like, no, you should have whooped them.
Yeah.
And then the Netherlands, they dogged you, and
Yeah.
you barely got through it. And
Well,
they
that's-
were, pumped.
That's something that I want to say is the throw to let a player that's playing for Corey Dye or Hoops throw their helmet down. Let them do that and just see if they're not running immediately on the sideline the entire length of the field.
Me and NVD go out to do a little bit of interview, get some knowledge before they play Blanchester, and they walked off the field once and they had to run 10 gashers. Walking off the field. I can't imagine if they throw a helmet down what they're going to.
When we pulled Carson Free over after the game, he
Sat the helmet down.
ever so gently.
Literally went, stay.
Ever so gently. Made sure it wasn't going to get stepped on or kicked. Made sure it was out of the way. It was let me set this down. It's just the respect for. It's because it's got the logo on it. It's it's a respect for the team. It's a respect for
The school,
the
colors,
coach.
respect for the brand. Yes.
Exactly. It means something.
And kind of going off of something you said early there, it's one thing for the fans to be like, yeah, we're going to show up and win, because you're a fan. I remember Shoes talking when he came back, we won the sectional, go down to the Convo right my junior year. Before the season started in senior year, some of the fans were coming to me like, hey, when do we go to the Convo? He's like, well, we have to win to get there first. Obviously, as a team, we did it. But, as a fan, I get that. You've seen the success. You just, if you aren't there to put in the work, you think, oh, you just show up and you do it, right? But you can't think of that as a player because then you show up and, you don't bend down to touch the line. You shoot 8 free throws instead of 10. You know what I mean? You start.
I'm
placing.
hearing a lot of these boys don't get lower on Friday.
Yeah.
They started to. If they didn't, I'm telling you, they were in for something. I'm sure they're still running.
Dude, when they came out that second half, I looked at Adam and I said, I don't know what they said in that locker room, but I'm glad I wasn't in there to receive it. I mean, it was kind of going on. The Reds, they lose yesterday, but Ellie De La Cruz hits an inside the park home run that was absolutely electric. You told me, how fast was it?
It was
that you
like
went on?
15.3 seconds. It was the fastest time since the stat record era that somebody had ran that. I think it was only 2 or 3 years ago that it was 15.6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was relatively recent that it was set, and then Ellie just went ahead and broke it again.
Oh, yeah, but you know what else was broken? Nothing for the Cubs because we get the dub yesterday. Still the wild card. Sorry about it, Reds. Ellie's awesome. He's cool.
Oh, speaking of breaking records, we didn't even touch on Newton throwing.
Oh
a
yeah,
record.
hey, congratulations to Hoops.
Congrats. Throws his
Broke
career,
the career passing touchdown record over there at Uniota.
as soon as he threw his first touchdown pass.
Yeah, literally first touchdown.
Should we make it like a weekly thing to just celebrate?
Yeah, we got to. Every time he throws a touchdown, he broke it again.
It's like, hey, congratulations to Hoops. We do. I don't know. I stopped.
It's kind of like those old NCAA
touchdowns
games.
later.
It was.
again.
It's like
My favorite thing was first episode. We're like, we're running out of ink for these record books.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like sitting here and I'm like, they're just next level. And the thing is, I think it's the coaching. I
man.
really do.
I look forward for him to break his own record from last year for most touchdowns in a single season. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna get. I think he got 24 last year. I think he's definitely getting 25
But now
this
we
year.
talk about. Are we talking about total touchdowns? Because looking at Westfall, maybe this man has a lot of rushy tutties to go
That's
with
true.
his passing tutties.
That's true.
So it's
Don't
like,
sleep
we
on, don't
might
sleep on
have
Newton.
to
He had a
start
rushing one,
talking
too.
total tutties
Yeah.
nowadays because I'm telling you, something in his eye flickered when he talked about running that ball when he talked to us. And
See, but you guys talk about the
He only had
coaching.
7 carries, 123 yards. 7 carries.
it says I know when to do it.
Says I know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
But you guys, we talk about the athletes all the time. Obviously, there's so many amazing athletes around here.
So many.
I think the thing that gets overlooked, though, man, is the coaching. I mean, you look at Hoops. He's been there since, but I think we just said like 06, I want to say, 05, 06. That he's been coaching there for basketball, goes over to football. Pate Valley, they had Pete Holland for 22 years, dude. As a high school football coach, to stay in one place for 22 years and still have sustained success, man, it can't be overlooked the kind of coaches that are coaching the kids around this area, man. I think it's, again, they're great kids, and I think they're great kids because obviously A, parenting, but B, the kind of coaches we have around here. It's like with the kids. They come on here, they say, I have great coaching staff, I have great players, I'm blah, 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 blah. Like,
I think they have a great ability to take the people that they learned from and then still, just like he said, kids are into everything. You have to understand today's climate. So they have, like, the grit that they had from the coaches that they learned from, and they still bring in some of this new age. You got to let them know that you're there and that you care.
right.
22 years is just a crazy feat because at Vinton County we had Coach O'Rourke for a little while, and then after him, we had Coach Yates for a little while, and then it went to Coach
Kinda
Downs, then
revolving
Coach
door.
Yates, and then there was Coach Burleson there for a little while, and I'm pretty sure Coach Downs came back after Burleson left, and then now we got Carper. So it's like I'm looking for Carper to stay there long term because he's doing great things for us. I'm excited
And
for
to
him.
jump back over to Uniota, I think that's why, when Hartsock was there, they were good. But they kind of fell middle to bottom of the SVC for a lot of years in a row because, they'd have a coach staying there for 2 to 3 years was a big deal. You know what I mean?
And
Because
just
there's so
when
much
they're
turnover.
getting their offense implemented, it's all
Their coach-
switched up now. Now the
And then-
seniors
It
that
was
have been
kinda
one
crazy to
playbook
me
for
to hear him say how much he had to build it up when he's saying we only had this amount of wins for any program he was talking about. I come here now, and it's
You're
they're
building
kind of
it
a
from the
gold-
bottom up.
They're kind of
Considering
gold
that he had-
standard Uniota is. So to hear him be like, we had a total of 16 wins through the first
3
4
3
years.
years?
You're like,
And then-
what?
And then you turn around and have
he's talking-
69
That's
in
what
a
I mean.
row.
Then he's
I'm
talking
sitting there and
about
I'm
the
like,
third
man.
year in a row being undefeated.
Yeah.
It's like this is the third year of our streak. It's
I
just,
just
And then
I
think
never heard
phenomenal.
Uniota being bad at sports. So like to hear
Well,
him say it was interesting.
I talk about Corey Dye coming in and not really changing the culture, just kind of added to it, carrying the torch. For Union football, Metzger comes in. He finally stays there 3 to 4 years, turns around. He steps down, but I think it was more. It was like the other coaches were, I'm just done, I'm stepping down. I think it was more of a personal reason. But Hoops comes in and takes that over and just picks the torch up and keeps on carrying it. I think that says a lot about him of, hey, I've done it this way in football or basketball. I'm, so quote unquote, the king here for basketball. But I'm going to come into football. You've clearly been doing this right and kind of pick it up your way, add my own things into it, and keep this well-owned machine going.
it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Stud.
So, transition to studs. I think we should. It's time for our draft here,
It
fellas.
is time for our draft.
So, today's episode of the Ride the Way Show draft, we are going to be drafting. Now, we're not drafting best college football helmets. Let me get this correct. We're drafting our favorite college football helmets. We're still going to put up a poll for you guys to vote. But again, this is us drafting because I would draft completely different. And I was trying to draft for the best. I'm just drafting purely for favorites here. So I guess we should have talked about this before the show. But
I'll go last. I usually.
Well, I was thinking.
Go first.
So you picked first, and then I picked, and then Tony picked in the fantasy draft. So we'll just go backwards, and then we'll go Tony, me, you.
Yeah, so I'm last.
Does that work? Okay. So Tony, you'll have the first pick
Temple.
here.
Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The red is perfect. It almost looks like an insurance agency, the logo.
So do you have any particular like specialty? Or you're just going with their actual their run of the mill. You know,
when Rock Ya-Sin was there, they were doing some black jerseys and things like that. Of course, I love that. Bradley's on our team for the Birds. Like I like watching them through it. But to be honest with you, you know, a lot of NFL teams, they're just like, oh, let's Cardinals.
Yeah.
When did you have a black jersey? You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't
People
look
just
good.
throw black
Yes.
on anything
Do you
nowadays.
enjoy
Just
it?
make it look
Yes,
cool,
so
dude.
I don't
It's
want to
so
say
annoying.
that. I really enjoy just that solid color.
Yeah. Like the
kind of
Cardinals were
changing maroon
red and white forever, and then out of nowhere they're like, "Hey, by the way, we have a black jersey."
because it was boring. They
Yeah.
knew it. They were like, "We need to sell more jerseys." But
Maybe just don't mess up in the beginning and pick good colors. Like
with the Temple, I like the way that they can offset it, especially because it's like a weird maroon that no one else has.
yeah, I agree
Like,
with that.
so I enjoy it and I love it.
I don't think this is going to shock anybody. I have to go with Notre Dame as one of my favorite helmets of all time. I know people think, "Oh, just stupid gold, blah blah blah." It represents, you know, the dome.
it's
Sorry.
iconic.
Yeah,
It's iconic.
My favorite thing is, man, night games. When the lights shine down on those helmets, man, they have like a whole different aspect to them. I just love the color. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I get so much nostalgia when I see that helmet, so I have to go with Notre Dame with my first pick there with their helmets. Adam, you got 2 in a row. Are we doing 4 or 5, fellas?
I got to pee. Let's do 4.
I was gonna say let's go. I was about to say let's go 4, so that way I only have to pick twice.
Gotcha. So, Adam, what are you going with?
So this first one is going to be hard to narrow it down. So I'm going to say a bunch of them, and then I'm going to find the right one and give it over. So it's going to be Louisville. I don't know whether to go with their. They have like
It's all of them.
well, that's what I'm saying. But I want to. There was one particular because they have a matte black one that's real nice. They have a matte red one, but it looks black until it's under the lights, and it's kind of like a black and it shimmers red. They have a silver one with the cardinal on it. They have a chrome red one that's really nice.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to go with the silver one because my second one is going to be the WKU. Actually, no, not going WKU. I'm going to switch up. I'm going to go with the Tulsa. It's going to be all green, and it's got like the Wave logo.
I like
And
that.
it's, oh, dude, it's like the Wave. I'll try to find it so I can show
I
you.
very much like the Wave.
Yeah, the Wave. I'm going to switch that up. The Wave's going to be the first pick. The Louisville's going to be the second pick.
Okay.
It's got to be first pick Wave. So.
Okay. All right, so that'll throw it back to me. I have a few ways I want to go. So, you know, some people want to kind of go iconic. You got, you know, just Alabama and Penn State with that just stripe with maybe the number on the side or something like that. I think, though, what I want to go here, I kind of want to mix it up a little bit. I'm a little on the fence, but I think it goes with the colors as well for me on this next pick. But I kind of doing this as a shot at Adam, but I got to go Florida State. I like their helmets. I know you're a big Florida fan, so I had to take your rival here.
Oh, that's a dog shit pick.
But yeah, I think their helmets. I think it's iconic without being boring. You know, the nice arrow on the side. Kind of like my tattoo here. Not gonna talk about it, but anyways, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Florida State there.
Nerf dart.
You're a Nerf dart, buddy.
I really thought you had a tattoo of a Nerf dart on.
Alrighty.
That was way cooler.
All right, Tony, you got 2 here. You picked Temple for your first one. Who are you going to go with your next 2?
Villanova.
All right.
The reason why, again, it sounds ridiculous. Who else has a hard navy blue and very electric baby blue to create not only this with a nice kiss of maroon?
Yeah.
Their dark jerseys, when they're in full solid color, are gorgeous. I know we're talking helmets. It fits right into it, but I really like the way the navy blue sits with the maroon outline with a nice electric baby blue. I like I like the fact that it's not normal. A lot of the color schemes are always used.
Red,
it's not normal.
blue.
I like the maroon. I like the navy. I like the non-UNC
choir
blue.
with this maroon. I love maroon. It's my high school colors. I
That's-
love maroon, dude.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I love maroon.
I like that, and it's not enough done. Alabama obviously overuses it, but
we
they're
go with
more
you for your next
crimson.
pick.
so I jumped around, and like for some reason it kept pulling me back to basketball and stuff. So I had to hop away from one because I really like San Diego State. I just feel like they have a lot of fun with their stuff. But that's not what I'm
They
picking.
are the
only
Trojans,
because-
right, with the yellow.
Yeah, but the
No, they're
helmet's
the Aztecs.
But the helmet's
San
not
Diego
that
State.
good.
Oh,
You know
I was
what
thinking
mean?
of. I was thinking of another. I think a San Diego school as well. I'm thinking of San Jose. I'm thinking of San
Okay.
Jose. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go with that one. What I will go with is Garen Barris, aka I'll take Stanford. I like the fact that they have a nice red and white combo. There's a little tree sticking up through the S. I like the mascot. It's unique. I'm here for
They were
unique.
playing mascot mashup on NCAA 14 with the trees.
Legendary.
Some of the funniest one. Go play Syracuse versus Stanford in the mascot mashup. It is an orange with legs mossing on you with just the side of an orange. No orange.
The only other mascot I was going to take, and it's not college, is the kid that won the best sign contest. Because that kid was a mascot for Paint Valley and was a freaking stud. I'm telling you, I can't wait to watch that kid play football. But go on. Yeah, I'm going Stanford.
Okay.
Garen Barris!
I was supposed to say, I don't think you went Stanford. I think you went Garen Barris. I thought.
I go every
I
time.
thought you were about to
Until
tell
somebody
me.
tells me,
I'm in
Derek,
a helmet that looks like
Derek?
Garen Barris' head.
am I good? Andy?
All right.
Garen Barris!
All right. So you take Temple, Villanova, and Garen Barris / Stanford for your
Oh, I
third
have one more
pick.
pick. I
That's
usually
gonna
like
come-
to
that's
save
coming
it.
back to you.
All right. I have Notre Dame and Florida State. This one might shock you guys. Obviously, I just looked up a list to look at some
No,
pretty
I
unique
looked at it
helmets.
and I see it and I was like, oh yeah, that is a nice
Yeah.
one.
I'm going Wyoming, brother. Wyoming has one nice looking helmet. They got the cowboy on the side riding the horse. Looks like he's getting ready to go down with the party. And so I got to go Wyoming there. I think it's a nice, unique helmet. Adam, how you going to finish out your draft?
Well, so this is a tough one. So I want to go with two back-to-back that are just iconic. But I also wish that we were drafting 5.
We can do 5. Tony, you good with 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
All right, so he's back-to-back. He's back-to-back. I'm going to have to go
I love him.
with some of my favorites.
Hoops.
I'm going to have to go with Ohio State.
What? I did not see
Yeah.
that
I
coming
didn't
at
either.
all.
I
I totally thought I was going to steal that next because of how much you don't like them. Okay, you have to.
And that's a
explain
testament
yourself.
to how much, like that one. That's an iconic. And then this is going to be the stinger. My second pick is going to be them boys in blue and maize in the iconic Michigan.
God.
Especially now they got that matte blue that they just came out with, that Wolverine, the wings. It's as iconic.
I received a text message while this was happening that said "Go Blue."
Yeah, I picked
And I
that one
literally
for
told
Andy.
them
I
to.
picked that one for Andy.
I literally
sir.
everything in
All
my
right.
body is stopping me from doing the DX movements so hard. Okay?
And that's why I wanted
doing
to
them
fit
under
for
the
Adam,
table.
because I want
that?
one more. Because, like you said, I'm not a Ohio State fan, so I was like, I need one more pick.
Oh my God! I have never seen someone pick Ohio State and Michigan with back-to-back picks and literally anything. We may have just broken the internet.
Yeah, they're
fellas.
gonna hate me.
Oh
They're gonna
yes,
hate
they
me.
will. We have found the show villain.
I'm playing.
For sure.
I'm playing both sides of the fence. You
Yeah,
see,
so
it's kind of like one of those where it's like whoever's on gonna win.
No, it's instead of both sides like you, they both now hate you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Adam, you have Louisville, Tulsa, Ohio State, Michigan. Tony, you have Temple, Villanova, and
Well, it's your pick, isn't it?
Garen Barris.
I
with
wanted to
Stanford.
make you do it.
Notre Dame, FSU, and Wyoming are my picks. So this next one is solely just because I can't pick Paint Valley because they're high school, so I'm going Iowa. I love black, and I guess I can't really say gold. I'm glad you said that the other day. It's been a huge, huge sticker with me when Paint Valley people say, we're black and gold. We are black and yellow, my friend. Like, that is not gold.
You guys should play into the Wiz Khalifa song. I'm not going to be able to hit the music.
Go talk to Shu.
Copyright.
Because Shu loves that. Yeah.
Like a Dijon mustard. A black and mustard.
So that's why Michigan, they're blue and maize, which is just a fancy yellow.
They spread.
Oh, shoot.
My turn yet?
Yeah. All right, Tony, you're up.
All right. In the words of Toby Keith.
What?
Save a horse
to be
ride a
said.
cowboy, bud. Boise State.
I almost went with it.
Nice.
No, you know the field. Everybody jacks on that stuff, and
Yeah.
yada yada. But I can't, dogs running in, country music, that whole thing. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Toby Keith, Boise State.
All right, you got one more.
Damn. I thought I only had one more.
No, we're going
we're going five
now.
now.
Yeah.
I should get to come back to. We threw a variable. I didn't have enough time to think. Derek went to MIT, but I don't think that they have a football team, so I can't go with them.
I'm pretty sure it's OU.
No, he went to MIT, Penn, and then went to Harvard, placed out of there, and Harvard kicked him out for being too smart.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but so I won't go with that. So let's go with. I don't even know any other college football teams. I hate.
Yes, you do. There's so many.
Can't we come back to me?
All right, we'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Adam, we're going to come to you for you to close out your
I want to go last. I had the last pick.
Jeez,
All right, I'm
Louise.
coming back with it. It's fine. Rub the gut, and it's going to be Southern Miss.
Oh, nice.
I actually
Definitely.
do kind of like. I caught him in a late night game, and I kind of like to have like a silver and gold kind of speckled thing. That was pretty good.
All right, so
like a
you
60
round out your team with Temple, Villanova, Boise State, Southern Miss, and Gary Ferris with Stanford.
You hot damn right.
I'm going to go. So I have Notre Dame, FSU, Wyoming, Iowa. Ooh, who do I want to go here?
It's not even a college.
You know, I think I'm going to go with another one that I think is with iconic, but I love the blue and yellow together. I'm going to go Pitt. I'm going to go Pitt's. Not Pitt when Larry Fitzgerald was there. Those were some good colors, but Pitt now / classic with the blue and yellow.
Don't ever let those words leave your mouth again.
I'm just saying.
The only Pittsburgh is when Larry Fitzgerald was there. Dan Marino, go up a rope. Foster, go up a rope. You think you have elite Hall of Famers? Don't care. Larry Fitzgerald, more tackles than drop passes as a wide receiver. I don't care. Nothing else matters here.
I was going to say I like their jerseys, but I think that blue, yellow Pitt helmet's a little bit more iconic with them.
Kenny Pickett's whack. Larry Fitzgerald's the man.
I'll take you with that one. Adam, you have your last pick of the draft. I think if you go Ohio State, you go Michigan. You got to go at least, Michigan State, Penn State here?
No. I'm going complete fork in the wrench.
Marshall.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm going WKU. They have these.
WWE?
WKU. You're telling me,
chance, because that's what you got.
you telling me that's not just the coolest visor you've ever seen?
Yeah, but that's a visor. That's not a helmet.
I know, but the helmet it's on is pretty sick.
All right, so you finish your draft with Louisville, Tulsa, Ohio State, Michigan, WKKJ, WKU.
Oh, I do like that a lot. Yeah, that's fire.
I'll finish with Notre Dame,
between
Florida
that
State,
one-
Wyoming, Iowa, Pitt.
No, I'm all, yeah, this is actually fire. Look this up. If you don't know
that's
what
pretty dope.
WKU
Yeah.
is,
That's
All
pretty dope.
blacks with the red grimace.
yeah, that's fire.
And Tony, you'll finish your draft with Temple, Villanova, Stanford, Boise State, and Southern Miss.
Way to get a 56-yard touchdown when I randomly watched ESPN2, Southern Miss.
All right. Boys, that's going to conclude our show today. What's something that you either learned or was excited for today, Tony?
I learned that the Hoops name gets my jimmies rough. I'm telling you, dude, like, man, what? Honestly, it's a family affair in this community, too, and I love it. Like, so many times we talk about the families of these people, their dads, their coaches. Honestly, we've had so many moms reach out to us. Like, you guys are amazing people to see that, like, to see their kids open up in front of them and to say, like, thanks for having them on. We appreciate this thing. When we say family affair, I mean every single high school, but it really has been, and it's been freaking awesome.
It has been.
And the more I get to experience these people, the more that I exactly feel that way. Like, it's a family affair out here.
It is, man. That's why I love this area the most. Adam, what about you?
Something that I learned is that I'm a little disappointed in you, Clay. You've had all these great coaches. all these great coaches, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot stuck. No, I'm just messing with you.
I was excited to kind of finally go over some guys. I'm finally glad to talk about football that happened this week, not last year, man. That was exciting. I'm excited to see. Coach Combs kind of harped on it or talked about it for a second. Soccer on the come up for the SVC. You used to just have Zane Trace and Unioda, Southeastern, Adina. They're getting in there. I think Westfall, Piketon, they're getting in there. So I'm excited to see soccer come up. Westfall, didn't know they're about to be a powerhouse in golf. So got to see that coming up. Cross country, it looks like Unioda's just going to pick up where they left off.
Adina's got some sleepers.
I cannot wait for volleyball, man. I've never been so excited for volleyball my entire life.
I've never been so excited for a sport I know nothing about.
Exactly.
Because, it's so exciting, the games that I have went, and then when we went up there, or you and Andy went up there to that game, or I guess it's over in Waverly,
Midnight Madness,
the Midnight Madness, and I got to see some of the highlights and stuff like that, and just hearing you guys talk about the comeback that happened in the championship
and
game.
They were taking it like it was the tournament to the state finals,
like
and
it was
just
serious.
a for fun thing. Like there ain't no for fun when it comes to
we talk about
There's
football
only four
fans.
winning.
I don't care how many fans are there or not. The passion's there no matter what.
Oh, it is.
Like,
These young ladies want
I'm excited to be part of that passion.
4 fans, which again would never happen at SVC volleyball, but there could be 4 fans at the game, and it would sound like 4,000. Like they get into the games there.
And that's what we were kind of talking about with Paint Valley. It's like maybe they don't have the biggest, turnouts. Like everybody that comes out to the game, that's the whole community. Maybe they don't have like the the hugest community, but everybody's gonna come out, and you're gonna know they are there.
Might not be the biggest community, but we're always the biggest crowd for sure.
Yes.
Again, we want to thank our sponsors, Wagner's Roadhouse, best wings in town. Go make sure you try them. Also, Hammond Lawn Care, make sure you give them a call for all your lawn care needs. They are amazing. You guys watching us, thank you so much. Again, this is literally not possible without you. We had just been sitting around talking about the local sports forever. Been talking about fantasies, like how cool it'd be, and we were just like, let's put the money where our mouth is and get this done. And it has been super rewarding for us. Going out to Paint Valley last Friday, just getting to talk to some of the people. You guys telling us that you're watching and you love what we're doing. We're doing this for you guys.
Dude, reach out. Don't feel like you can't talk to us or anything. One of the best parts about that's keeping us going is the feedback we've received is amazing.
Yes.
We love you.
Again, if you're a player with any of the teams around here on football, make sure you send us your stats or some highlight videos or highlight pictures. That way we can get those fantasy stats right. We want to make sure we get that as close as possible. Wednesdays when you can be looking forward to the stats, the fantasy points, which team beat which team in fantasy that week. Those will be coming out to you on Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, again, thank you guys. It's been another great Sunday. We will see you this Friday at Piketon. We'll be doing our live game day show at 6 to 6:30. Then we have the coverage at 7 with Piketon taking on Oak Hill. Can't wait to have that one. Derek, ride us on out of here, buddy.